Oh, here's the game on the line right now in the 7th inning. As George Brett, 390 on the season, but 0 for 3 tonight. Brett facing the right-hander Gossage in the 7th inning of the 3rd game of the American League playoffs. Set by Gossage, a high drive hit deep to right field. It is gone! 3-run home run by George Brett into the 3rd tier of Yankee Stadium, and Brett has taken the Royals and put them in front. Here in the 7th inning. The Royals now lead it 4-2, and a stunned crowd here at Yankee Stadium in New York as Brett being patted on the back by Gordy McKenzie, and the welcoming party at home plate as the Royals lead by a pair of runs.
No other game summed up the 1980 Phillies better than Game 5. With the whole season on the line, what better way to start things off than with a rookie in just his 6th big league start?
If anything works in Marty Bystrom's favor is that he just doesn't know what's going on down there.
Dallas came in after the 4th game and said, "You got the ball tomorrow." So I had no idea until after the 4th game. And maybe that was a blessing, somewhat, that I didn't have a lot of time to think about and prepare other than that night.
I had all the confidence in the world in Marty Bystrom, and he didn't let us down. In the 2nd inning, Bill Verdon opted to pitch to Bob Boone with 2 outs and a base open.
Boone, a base hit center field. Manny Trio scores. Maddox is going to score, and the Phillies lead it 2-1. So not walking Bob Boone cost Bill Verdon a couple of runs.
I often wondered if that managerial decision had been made by a Philadelphia manager and you'd ended up losing the game. That manager might as well pack his bags and leave town.
There's Bill Verdon. Could be 10 ahead, 10 behind. You'd never see a change in his expression. Reminds me of my old 6th grade English teacher. Who would that be? Lillian Wadsworth.
I don't know about Lillian, but this series was driving me crazy. Sometime during the stretch drive, Manny Trio and Bake McBride muffed a relay play that cost the team a run. The 2 of them went out for hours and practiced balls hit into the corner. That's why we preached teamwork.
By Manny Trio.
Behind the plate, Bob Boone was simply a rock.
Trio hard has it. Manny makes the play to first, safe. He is out at the plate. The Phillies have gotten another out at the plate.
The man took hit after hit and never came out.
I was blessed with a high threshold of pain. I was so fortunate playing in my career that we didn't have MRIs. If I'd had MRIs, I wouldn't have played near the number of games we played, but X-rays couldn't see the little cracks in the things.
In situations like that, all the pain goes away. I mean, if it's not broken, you play.
These championship series are inhuman, are they not, Rich?
A lot more pressure here than the World Series.
The World Series is like a social event compared to this. The amount of gloom is disproportionate to the amount of glee you get when you win. I mean,
and the amount of money, too. Ball hit well. Gaffer. Walling scores. Art Howe with a triple, and Houston leads it 5-2.
Suddenly, the Astrodome had turned into a house of horror.
Just the sheer noise of the place was unbelievable.
It was like the loudest sound I had ever heard.
It was as you just ducked your head and thought, I'm just taking a break here from life. Just stop this noise.
I swear to God, I thought the Astrodome was going to fall down. That's how noisy it was in there. But it didn't intimidate us.
Now we had to overcome our biggest obstacle yet, Nolan Ryan, who had an incredible record after taking a lead into the 8th inning.
Stranger things have happened, though, Rich. We got 2 innings. We were behind 2 runs last night.
But the team that wouldn't die was not about to roll over.
On his part, the big thing right now is to keep things intact.
Pete came up to me and said, "If you get on, we're going to win." I said, "I'm going to get on."
Oh, a line drive base hit.
First, Boa single. Then Booney legged out an infield single on 2 bad legs.
And it's going to be safe all around. Phillies have 2 men on base and nobody out.
Then up came Greg Gross with the most important little hit of the series.
Gross a bunt. It's a good one. Nolan Ryan don't play anywhere. A bunt single. Greg Gross and the Phillies have loaded.
With Ryan on the ropes, here comes Pete Rose with all his bluster, having a great time in the glare of the spotlight. Pete worked a walk, and Nolan was gone.
Comes in to score. It's a 5-3 ball game. Bases still loaded.
Keith Moreland drove in a run.
Little bouncing ball tapped.
And with 1 out, our best player came to the plate.
We needed a sacrifice fly to tie the game or a hit to put us ahead. We needed something from me, and I struck out. I was stunned. The camera right by the dugout following me. Starting to think about the off season and trying to go out of my house and exist in public life in Philadelphia.
Unser, a base hit to right center field. Phillies have tied it. Aviles on his way to third. Del Unser, a pitch single, and this is a 5-5 ball game.
Del Unser goes up and gets a base hit to totally bail me out of that situation.
Then the series MVP stepped up to the plate.
And this guy will be tough. Manny Trio got a good playoff.
1 strike pitch. Trio, line drive, fair ball, left field line. Aviles scores. There's Del Unser being waved around. He's going to score. Manny Trio, the third and triple. Phillies lead at 7-5.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Manny Trio lining a ball just inside the chalk line, and the Phillies dugout going crazy,
I'll tell you, this is an incredible comeback against Nolan Ryan, a pitcher who has been brilliant in these situations, but this club just does not die.
Oh, but the story wasn't over.
Punch shot. That's going to drop for a hit. Terry Cole is going to score, and this game is tied at 7. I cannot believe this series. What an up and down seesaw, exhilaration, frustration series. It's been unbelievable.
The most worn out guy in the whole stadium was the champagne guy, and it kept going back and forth from clubhouse to clubhouse.
My, what a series. Dallas Green is out talking to Tug McGraw.
Ruthven came in to relieve me. My arm was dead, baby.
It was a strange feeling because I remember coming out of the dugout thinking, I'm going to win. And I have to admit, over my career, I didn't have that feeling that often.
In the 10th, Del Unser came through again.
Smash over the head of Bergman down the right field line. Unser on his way to second base, and Dello reached with a double.
That brought up Gary Maddox, who was looking for the silver lining in an otherwise stormy season.
I was known throughout the league as a first ball, fastball hitter. All you had to do was throw it anywhere up near home plate, and I would swing at it, and I got a fastball right down the middle.
Left, a base hit, I believe, Maddox. Yes, it is. Gary Maddox a hit. Phillies take an 8-7 lead. Maddox at second base. Bills lead 8-7 in the 10th inning.
That was the biggest hit of Gary's career and maybe the Phillies' history. Then, in the bottom of the 10th, after 2 quick outs,
Dick Ruthven has ice water in his veins.
3-2 pitch, swing and a drive right center field. Maddox is there.
I started laughing hysterically, and it was one of those bizarre moments where you don't even realize where you are. You're just so giddily happy.
It's every kid's dream to be carried off the field on the shoulders of his teammates, and so that was a special time for me.
Gary Maddox, you're beautiful. You are beautiful, buddy. A winning hit right here.
And I'll tell you one thing, they can't call me a bum in Philly now.
John Bukovic. John Bukovic. Nice going, Bukovic.
I tell you what, I dreamed of this since I'm 5 years old. I swear to God I did. And I didn't know how I'd act. It's the greatest feeling in the world.
Manny, congratulations on being the MVP of probably the greatest series ever played.
Oh, thank you.
Nice going.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you all when we get home, man. This is it. We're going all the way.
Friday night, Yankee Stadium, the Royals reach a height they never have before. Dan Quisenberry strikes out Willie Randolph and the Royals sweep the Yankees, win a berth in the World Series, and await an opponent from the National League. In that league, a settlement takes 5 games, an extra innings, finally in the Astrodome. A fly ball to Gary Maddox ends the waiting in Philly. Tonight, from Veterans Stadium, it's the Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies in Game 1 of the 1980 World Series. The 1980 World Series, an inside look at the series and a preview of Game 1. Brought to you by Coleco, makers of head-to-head electronic sports games. And by Canon, so advanced, Canon is the world's leader in 35mm photography. There's a chill in the air, but a glowing warmth in the heart of Philadelphians who have waited 30 years for this moment, the opening game of the World Series, matching the Kansas City Royals against the Philadelphia Phillies here at Veterans Stadium. Good evening, I'm Bryant Gumbel, and welcome to Game 1 of the 1980 World Series, matching the Kansas City Royals against the Philadelphia Phillies. What do these two teams have in common? Well, they're both here. They both have rookie managers. But other than that, they are teams of very stark contrast. The Kansas City Royals, a team built on speed. The Philadelphia Phillies, one considered to have been built on power. Kansas City Royals swept through their season with the greatest of ease. The Phillies struggled, did it with great adversity, didn't wrap it up until the next to last day of the season. Even on into the league championships, there was a very big difference. The Royals swept aside the Yankees in 3 straight. For the Phillies, they had to endure 5 painful, excruciating games with the Houston Astros, 4 of those in extra innings. We're going to take a look at how they got here, starting with the Royals, who occupied first place for 121 days. The Royals broke camp with many of the same players that captured 3 division titles in 4 years, but there were some new additions. Acquired from the Angels to supply some power, Willie Aikens, and over from the Orioles to take over the managership, Jimmy Fry. The team was complete.
Well, I think this year we had ingredients of everything. We had the pitching, the speed, the defense, and luckily we got power when we needed it. In Kansas City, we're going to hit a lot of home runs, but on the road, the ballparks are smaller, and we get our share of home runs.
Hitting their share of home runs and getting a lot of hits, the Royals collected runs at their usual pace, but they were missing Darrell Porter. He had a problem that was to keep him out of action during the early months. In those early months, they stumbled, playing barely 500 ball. They were carried by the strong left arm of Larry Gora, one of the few who believe Kansas City had plenty of pitching.
Yes, I do. I thought we've had the pitching staff since I've been over here. It's just a matter of getting the right breaks in the right situations, and this year we did that.
I think one of the big reasons probably is the year George Brett had, just a year of a lifetime. He seems to be getting better and better each year, though who knows what he might do next year or the years to come. Another big reason, I think, has been our bullpen this year. Definitely Dan Quisenberry was our best pitcher in the bullpen.
The bullpen, like the pitching staff, it had been a question mark in the minds of many, but by season's end it was strong. Dennis Leonard leading the staff with 20 wins, and what the starters couldn't finish, Dan Quisenberry did, filling the void in KC it had never been filled before.
I didn't think I'd completely fill it like what happened. I didn't predict 33 saves. I thought I would do better than I did last year. I thought we'd have a much better bullpen because between Rennie Martin and myself, and I thought Marty Patton had the best spring of any pitcher in Royal camp, that someone was going to emerge. And between Rennie and myself, I thought one of us had the capabilities of becoming a good relief pitcher in the American League.
Quisenberry was not the only KC surprise. Darrell Porter, behind the plate and rejoicing here, had little reason to believe he'd ever reach that point when he tearfully rejoined the team in mid-season.
I went to Joe Burke and I advised him that I was a drug addict and an alcoholic. And my whole life was being really affected by it. And I've hurt my family, and I've hurt my friends, and I've hurt all the great baseball fans in Kansas City. my teammates, and I almost destroyed myself.
After the Royals took all the suspense out of the American West race by mid-season, center stage belonged to their all-star third baseman, George Brett, and his quest to become the first man in 40 years to hit 400, it had its pressures.
Like the first day in Texas, we went down there. It was the first day after I went over 400, where I went from one TV station to another, to another, to another, and by the time I was through doing that, I missed half a batting practice. So the organization got behind me. They helped me out a lot. It was a lot of fun. I think I changed a little bit. I was getting more rest than I ever did before. I became a little bit superstitious, and I found out afterwards I shouldn't have changed horses in the middle of the stream because I think it ruined me. But I had a good time with it. I'm just a little, not embarrassed, but a little upset with myself that I came 10 points short.
After winning the West in a breeze, the Royals moved on to the American League Championship Series, and with Frank White winning the Most Valuable Player award, ridded themselves of a longtime nemesis in the Yankees.
But this season, with the turnover of a lot of players that beat us are gone, and we felt that if any year we could beat the Yankees, this would be the year.
Appropriately enough, it was George Brett who put the capper on the championship with a 3-run homer off Goose Gossage, following a 2-out single by UL Washington.
When UL beat out that infield hit, I was very happy that I was the next guy coming up. Gossage, I knew would be throwing anywhere between 95 and 200 miles an hour, and I just went up to myself. I said to myself, hey, don't get cheated. Swing hard, swing quick, and try to pull the ball, and if you can, get it in the air. And I did all three, so I was very, very happy.
The Royals joined Brett in being very, very happy. They made it to the final step. Tonight, they begin their quest of their first world title. George Brett, before the regular season, before the league championships, you felt confident, you made it look easy. Is the same feeling there as you head into game one?
Well, we're confident right now. Of course we are, or else we wouldn't be here right now. I think the attitude on the ball club is if we can go out and play good baseball like we did against the New York Yankees, get good defense, good timely hitting, we can beat the Philadelphia Phillies. And if we can go out there and execute correctly, I think we can beat them. If we go out there and play like the Houston Astros did and the Philadelphia Phillies did in game 4, I believe, it's going to be awfully tough to beat these guys. They're a great ball club.
Quickly, do you expect an advantage because they're a tired team?
No, I don't think that has anything to do with it. This is the World Series. You can reach back for a little bit extra. They're not tired right now. They're very happy to be here. We're very happy to be here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun the next week.
George Brett, thank you much.
Okay, Brian.
Best of luck. We'll take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies at the end of the 30 years of frustration in the city of brotherly love. We'll get to how they got here.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
When do you think I'm going to start shaving?
It's going to be a few years, son, but when you do, you got something great to look forward to.
ARCHIVAL, right, Dad?
Right. AQUAVELVA's real cooling. It picks you up after a shave. And it's got a fresh, clean fragrance that the girls in your class are going to love. AQUAVELVA, it makes a man
feel like a man, right, Dad?
All right.
There's something about an AQUAVELVA man.
In marked contrast to the Royals season that was filled with peace and harmony, the Philadelphia Phillies had a season of confrontation and controversy. Confrontation with a new manager in Dallas Green and a team seeking an identity. They were in first place only 16 days. It was a strong Philly team that started the season, a team complete with the big names that had made it a favorite for many years.
You picked the Phillies for 79, you should pick them for 1980, because there was no way we were going to go through the injuries that we went through in 79. Plus, we had some young talent, guys like Keith Moreland, Vukovic for the bench. We had Unser, we had Gross, great pinch hitters, and we had a pretty good bullpen. So I said, you better pick us for 80 if you're going to pick us for 79.
Though the 1980 Phillies continued to look like the Phillies of old on the field, there was an attitude change brought about by a new manager.
The credit has to be given to Dallas Green, in addition to a lot of us maybe maturing a little bit. You know, the crux of the team now, we're all 31, 32 years old. The Lazinskis, Boones, Maddoxes, myself, Boa. We ought to be old enough now to have some character. We've been through enough hell on the baseball field in the playoffs in the past. And Dallas Green's blend of the young players on the team is very important also.
Though the Phillies struggled in the early going, they continued to get fine performances from some of their more unheralded players. Second baseman Manny Trio turned in stout defense and toyed with the 300 mark all year long. And right fielder Bake McBride, though he continued to have his problems with manager Dallas Green, responded with a 300 season and 87 RBI. But all the hustle and all the effort that was a part of this Phillies season was interrupted by accusations of a drug scandal in mid-July.
I built a reputation here in 10 years, and
in one day, it's down the drain. Not only for me, my wife, my mom and dad out in California, and everything that I've been accused of is totally wrong. It's false. There's no true information at all linked to me and narcotics.
After surviving the scandal and hitting a low point in early August, the Phils came on strong, winning 36-55. They went to Montreal having to win 2 and did win 2 to clinch the National East title. Mike Schmidt providing the winning runs with his 48th home run to go with a season that included 121 RBI. Indeed, when Tug McGraw struck out Larry Parrish to clinch the National East title with a winning run on base, cap off a season that included a 1.46 ERA and 20 saves, his joy, his effort, his achievement typified the spirit of a team that had won almost in spite of itself.
The Phillies have reached back all year long. We've had our backs to the wall. We've made it as tough as we could for ourselves, and we felt real strong about going up there. We'd gone that far, and we'd come down that close, and we just felt all the way that we were going to be able to win it. We had that feeling, you might say.
After winning their mini-pennant in Montreal, the Phillies moved on to the National League Championship Series and took part in the bizarre battles of Houston. There they survived the Astros, their own mistakes, and a most incredible series of plays. There was the Gary Maddox ball that went from a 1-3 putout to a triple play to a double play. There was the line drive to right that was called a catch when it appeared to be a trap. It scored a run but brought on yet another strange double play. And through it all, through the 5 games that included 4 extra inning affairs, there was a Philly team that continued to fight back when they appeared to be on the edge of elimination. An exhausting, emotionally draining series filled with more than its share of heroes and improbable happenings, the MVP was himself an improbable hero, Manny Trio.
To tell you the truth, I was willing to win the most valuable player on my team, but it happened the other way, and I think it's, right now it's more bigger than the one I was looking for. And besides, I told my wife I'm going to get it for her, so I think I did it.
When Enos Cabell hit a Dick Ruthven pitch into the waiting glove of Gary Maddox, it brought to an end 30 years of frustration in Philadelphia. Tonight, the Phillies will attempt to begin to do what the Phillies of 15 and 50 could not do, win a first world title for the city of brotherly love. Mike Schmidt, the Phillies are coming off of a series that was emotionally and physically draining in Houston. Is there any way that you can get up and stay with a team that's fresh like the Royals?
Oh, are you kidding? Some people would say that not playing for 2 or 3 days might make you a worse team. We're ready to go. This is a World Series. It's a chance to play in front of the whole world, Brian, and there ain't nobody over there that's tired or emotionally drained or anything. We're ready to go, and we're ready to prove it, prove a lot of people wrong. I think a lot of people are picking KC in this thing, and we're going to do our best to prove them wrong.
Mike Schmidt, thank you very much.
All right,
best of luck.
Okay.
We're going to step aside just for a moment, come back with some final comments. Game 1 of the 1980 World Series in a couple of moments.
This evening from Philadelphia, NBC Sports presents Game 1 of the 1980 World Series. The American League champions, the Kansas City Royals, versus the National League champions, the Philadelphia Phillies. Brought to you by Light Beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. And by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the new 1981 Ford cars and trucks. And by Gillette Atra, the pivoting head razor. The pivot makes it better. And by Pepsi Cola and your local Pepsi Cola bottler, who invite you to catch that Pepsi spirit. Veterans Stadium on a cool, crisp night. 48 degrees the temperature at game time. Some 65,000 wild fans jammed in here, and they are ready. And they're wondering, are the Phillies ready? Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Garagiola. And the big question seems to be, are the Phillies worn out from the battle they had to wage to get here? Are the Kansas City Royals too rested? Well, as far as I'm concerned, in a World Series, that's really not a factor. It always boils down to hitting, pitching, defense, and speed. Well, we have with us this year Tom Seaver, the Cincinnati Reds, in the booth. And last I asked Tom about the pitching.
Well, Joe, I think the key to the pitching, that Kansas City comes in here and can set up the pitching exactly the way they want to. They have Dennis Leonard going, their best pitcher, and behind him they have a very strong bullpen. The Phillies, on the other hand, are starting Bob Walk, really their number 5 pitcher, and after the games in the Astrodome, a very tired bullpen. So I think going into Game 1, pitching-wise, Kansas City has a distinct advantage.
All right, and my sidekick, Tony Kubek, will be here as always. Tony, how about you, your thoughts?
Well, just a couple of observations, Joe. It'll be the first time in World Series history, 2 rookie managers, Dallas Green of the Phillies and, of course, Jim Fry of the Royals. First time ever, artificial service all over the field. Every World Series game will be played that way. We've got a DH this year, but I think a key might be the speed. Both teams with excellent speed. We could see a lot of extra base hits. I really think it's going to be a high-scoring World Series, and the team that uses that speed most aggressively, defensively, and at the plate and on the bases might end up with the World Championship ring, the first for either team.
Okay, Tony. Well, we made a case for both ball clubs, but I think there's a great baseball line that really covers the subject, and it goes something like this, that the expected is always happening when it's least expected, and vice versa. And now let's meet the players. Let's go to the PA announcer, Dan Baker.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here are the starting lineups for tonight's first game of the NLCS World Series for the American League champion Kansas City Royals. Leading off, the Major League leader with 230 hits is 162 total bases.
I couldn't hear him.
The last 2 seasons. Left fielder, number 6, Willie Wilson. The leading run producer among all designated hitters in the American League with 83 RBIs. Number 11, Hal McRae.
Hal McRae, the designated hitter. And batting third with a 390 average, there he is, George Brett. In the cleanup spot, it'll be Willie Mays Akins. Darrell Porter will be the catcher. He's batting 5th. Batting 6th, Amos Otis. He'll be in center field. Batting 7th, right fielder Clint Hurdle. Batting 8th, the second baseman Frank White.
The second baseman, number 20, Frank White.
And batting 9th, the shortstop, U.L. Washington, the starting lineup for the Kansas City Royals.
With a 364 average in the league championship series.
There you see the pitcher, Dennis Leonard, who won 20 games and lost 11 in 1980.
And the starting pitcher for tonight's game, a 3-time 20-game winner. Warming up in the bullpen, number 22, Dennis Leonard.
The introductions having been made, the manager, Jim Fry, rookie manager, came over from the Baltimore Orioles. How do you like that? Didn't get introduced. They got him right now. Okay, that makes it official.
And now for the National League champion.
65,000 fans here gave these Phillies a standing ovation. You'll hear a roar. Leading off, Lonnie Smith in left field. second will be Pete Rose at first base. He'll get a roar. Batting third, third baseman Mike Schmidt. Batting fourth, Bake McBride. He'll be in right field. And batting fifth, the designated hitter, Greg Luzinski. Batting sixth, the center fielder, Gary Maddox. Batting seventh, most valuable player of the Playoff League Championship Series, Manny Trio at second base. You may have picked up was Sparky Lyle, who was seated on the bench. You may see him again. Batting eighth, Larry Boa. He'll be a shortstop. Batting ninth, the catcher, Bob Boone. Bob Watt. He was the Phillies' third selection in the June 1976 secondary phase of the draft. He won 11 and lost 7. Did not appear in the playoffs with Houston. He is the only rested one. Bob Watt. Dallas Green, the manager, being introduced now.
Beating the Yankees, I think, in the third game the other night was the most excited I've been.
Oh, this is fabulous. This is about the greatest thing ever happened to Kansas City, I'll tell you.
George Brett against Rich Gossage. 2 down. Wilson at second. Washington at first. Fastball. Drilled to right field. Back it goes. It's gone. George Brett has just hit a towering 3-run homer. The Royals lead the Yankees 4-2. And now they're just 9 outs away from their first American League pennant. Dan Quisenberry is being mobbed by his teammates. After coming so close so many times, the World Series will be coming to Kansas City.
No question about it. They were going to beat Houston all of it. They just wanted to make it to the last minute to make it like drag it out and make it look really good.
This actually is bigger for us, I think, than the bicentennial,
Gary Maddox stands in. Unser at third, 2 outs, top of the 10th. LaCourte's pitch. Maddox swings, line drive, center field. Gould can't get it. Unser scores and the Phillies lead 8-7. Unbelievable. This team just won't quit. The Phils have come from behind again. The Phillies have done it. It took 30 years and 5 murderous games with Houston, but finally the Phils are going to the World Series.
I've been waiting 30 years for this, and 4 in a row, I guarantee it.
We've waited a long time, but it's worth the wait.
Sure, it's been worth the wait. There's no doubt about that.
first time in 60 years, two teams who have never won a World Series square off in baseball's October showcase. Another first. Never before have both World Series teams been led by rookie managers. But Kansas City's Jim Fry and Philadelphia's Dallas Green are given much of the credit for turning around their team's fortunes and bringing about this historic meeting.
Take a look at the defensive setup behind Bob Walk. The pitcher Lonnie Smith playing in left field. That's been a problem area for the Phillies. Maddox is in center field. Gary Maddox, Big McBride in right. Mike Schmidt, the third baseman. Larry Boa, the shortstop. Manny Trio, what a championship series he had. He was the MVP for the National League. Pete Rose at first. Bob Boone with those tired, aching knees behind the plate. And Bob Walk, the pitcher for the Phillies.
What about Bob Walk, Tom?
Well, Joe, Bob Walk and
that's the lineup he'll be looking at. Willie Wilson, McBray, Brett, Akins, Porter, Otis, Hurdle, White, Washington. A lot of left-hand hitters.
Walk in 27 starts, Joe, was 11-7 with a high 4.56 ERA. He had just 2 complete games as a rookie. 6'3", 200 pounds, just 23 years old. When he came up in the middle of the season, he did an outstanding job for the Phillies, and then had a little trouble going down in the last month. His last starts, really, he just pitched 12 days ago and pitched fairly well, but that's really the only good start that he had going down the last month. He pitched 7 1/3 innings, just gave up 1 run against the Cubs. You'll see an outstanding fastball from him, very good slider, and an occasional curveball. Doesn't change too much. He'll come right at you. Like many of these young pitchers on this Philly staff, the young pitchers that really were tutored by Dallas Green in the minor leagues, will come at you with hard stuff. They won't be cute. They'll come right after you.
This Kansas City ball club will be running. I think it'll be almost like a track meet. Does he have a pretty good move?
It's a fair move, but you can see as you watch his delivery here now, as he's throwing in his stretch, that he has a fairly slow delivery to home plate. So you definitely, I think, you're going to see some running if the Royals do get somebody on base.
Harry Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire, walking out to talk to Bob Walk, and there are the umpires. Wendelstedt at home plate. He's from the National League. Bill Kunkel of the American League is at first base. Paul Pryor of the National League at second base. Don Denkinger, he's from the American League. He's at third base. Left field, Dutch Rennert of the National League, and Nick Bremigan of the American League is in right field.
Only 3 pitchers in the history of baseball or World Series play. Bob Walk is the third, have ever started the first game of the World Series as a rookie. Grover Cleveland Alexander and Joe Black. Oddly enough, Walk in the minor leagues at the beginning of this year. That's never happened before.
Well, he'll be facing Willie Wilson, who hit .326 in 1980 with 3 home runs, 49 runs batted in. He's a big guy, 6'3", 190, 25 years old, born in Montgomery, Alabama, now lives in Summit, New Jersey. He was the Royals' June draft pick, the top one in the regular phase of 1974. Ball 1. That's fouled out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Willie Wilson. He gets on. You almost have to throw to third to head him off. He is, Gene Mock calls him the most disruptive base runner, the most disruptive player in the American League. Foul out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Walk appears to be throwing pretty hard. That last pitch especially, Tom.
I say he has an outstanding fastball, Tony, and he'll come right at you with it. An occasional slider, occasional curveball, but if he does have a problem, it'll be with control, and the hitters are going to see a lot of fastballs.
He struck him out. Good fastball. 1 out.
No fooling around, Tony. He comes right at him. Fastball, high fastball, really right down the middle of the plate. It doesn't look like he's going for a corner or whatever. He's just depending on his power, depending on his speed, and trying to blow the ball right by Willie Wilson.
1 away, and here's Hal McRae. Strike 1. Didn't get it. McRae, they got him from Cincinnati with Wayne Simpson for Roger Nelson and Richie Scheinblum. What a trade that was. 34 years old. Hal McRae. Side. 1-1.
Could be the most important man in this lineup for George Brett. hitting in front of him today as he does against right-handers. He usually hits behind him against left-handers. If he has a good series, Brett might have a good series. Players on these two teams do not have much World Series experience. McRae has been in 2. Ken Brett been in the World Series for the Royals and just 2 for the Phillies. Rose and your former teammate, Tuck McGraw.
3 balls and 2 strikes. You know, one of the most useless questions, I think, Tony and Tom, is when they ask a guy, who would you rather play in a World Series? They asked Ken Brett that, and he said the Chicago Cubs. Outside. Base on ball, so McRae is on. A base runner, and it brings up George Brett. And if you start with his statistics, you'll be here until next week.
Last 2 hits this man has had have been home runs. You all saw the shot off the Goose, Gossage. Of course, he also had a home run against Davis to left center field, Kansas City.
His last 2 base hits have been home runs. Brett was holding a hot water bottle in the on-deck circle. At game time, the temperature was 48 degrees, the wind chill factor at 44. And those pitchers like to saw that bat off in your hands when it's cold. Put those bees in there. It's popped up. Mike Schmidt taking charge in foul territory. Out. 2 men out. McRae at first base, and it brings up Willie Mays Aikens. 6'2", 220. He'll be 26 years old on October 14th. And there are his stats. 20 home runs, 98 runs batted in. Good fastball.
The big part of Willie Mays Aikens here came the second half. He had knee surgery at the end of last year when he was with the Angels, missed the championship series. And they said that hampered his swing. So he came on very strong, Tom, the last 3 months of the year.
There are 2 outs. McRae's at first. They want to keep that hole between first and second open. Willie Mays Aikens, a good pull hitter. McRae has stolen 10 of 12 times this season.
Which I think is unusual because basically the times we've seen Aikens, he's been a pull hitter, but Maddox in center field, way over to left center field. Maybe they're going to try and pitch him away, and they think that he will not be able to pull the great fastball that Walk has. Look at the defense. Look at the right field line.
Say, when you see that kind of defense, that means that the responsibility's on the pitcher.
I think, Tony, what you're going to see here, and Joe, is that you're going to see definitely what the pitcher and how the pitcher, they're not going to let Willie Mays Aikens get out of the batter's box. He wants to scoop that left foot out of the batter's box. Harry Wendelstedt, the home plate umpire, a very good National League umpire.
Which is unusual, I think, because maybe Booney asked him to do it, but if he gets a base hit, the umpire could call him out, I believe, for being out of the batter's box. You should maybe call it to the umpire's attention quietly.
2 balls and 1 strike with 2 outs. You just have to have part of your foot on it. There you see it. That's why they rub out that line, and it's one of those irritants that it catches. See him sneaking out? Line foul down the third base line. What you try to do as a catcher sometimes is just keep bringing that up and agitate the hitter, because Willie Mays Aikens will put a part of his foot there and then ease his way out. He hit that off the end of the bat, and those bees, that's just like getting a little bit of a shock is what happens. It's cold. Hit that ball off the end of the bat.
Tom, I don't think it's just the speed of Walk. That in itself is something so far tonight, it looks like. But the fact that his ball is moving away from left-handed hitters, so.
Well, it's going to move away from the left-handers and obviously into the right-handers. Got a pretty good discussion between Wendelstedt and Aikens down there about where he's going to put his foot, because right after he did draw that line and said you got to stay in the batter's box, the very next pitch, he edged himself right back out again.
Well, you know where they got that from? Charlie Lau, now the Yankees hitting instructor. Move away from the plate and back as far as you can get.
And you can believe that Booney's pouring a little gasoline on that fire. There goes the runner. It's foul back. McRae heading out.
You know, Joe, we just talked about that rule about the batter's box as McRae goes back. We've got Ron Luciano in the booth with us, and Ronnie, can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, technically what he's telling Willie Mays, of course, is that if you, like you said earlier, if you hit that ball while you're out of the box, I'm going to have to call you out. So get that foot in there and keep it in there.
It's well hit, left center field. Maddox is there. Maddox has room, makes the catch, and that ends the first inning. Willie Mays Aikens flies to center, and as we go into the bottom half of the first inning, no score. Kansas City, Philadelphia.
We're back in Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia for Game 1 of the World Series, and here's the defensive alignment for the Kansas City Royals. Willie Wilson is in left field. When he becomes a center field, he'll be the best ever out there, one of the best ever. Amos Otis in center, Clint Hurdle in right. George Brett at third, U.L. Washington the shortstop. Frank White, he was the MVP in the American League Championship Series. He's at second. Willie Mays Aikens in first. Darrell Porter the catcher, the pitcher, Dennis Leonard.
The batting order that Leonard will be facing has Lonnie Smith leading off in left field, Pete Rose at first base, Mike Schmidt third base batting third, Bake McBride in the cleanup spot. A little bit unusual there, but he wanted to break up that right back-to-back right-handed hitters. So Luzinski, the DH, Gary Maddox is in center field, Manny Trio at second base, Larry Bowe at the shortstop, and Bob Boone is the catcher. And Dennis Leonard, a pretty good pitcher, Tom.
29-year-old Dennis Leonard, Joe. 6'1", 190 pounds, has won 20 games for the Royals in 3 out of the last 4 years. This year, a 20-game winner again, 20-11. Outstanding fastball, outstanding nasty slider, and very aggressive pitcher. I talked to him before the game. We were down there on the bench. He says he's not going to change his game plan. He's going to have good fastball, good slider, and go right after the Philly hitters.
Tom, you used the word nasty. What do you mean a nasty slider?
Very late breaking, very sharp slider. When he gets it down in the strike zone, keeps it away from those right-handed hitters, and nasty in a sense, he'll come into those left-hand hitters, and especially on a cool night tonight, get in on those hands, and you'll get more of those B's you're talking about.
Okay. So, Dennis Leonard against Lonnie Smith. Smith hit .339 during the season, 3 home runs, good speed. And it's ball 1.
With a designated hitter rule in effect for this World Series, manager Dallas Green can put Lonnie Smith in his lineup for his speed, and he's got a good bat, and also include the power of Greg Luzinski in the DH spot. No matter which way you look at it, though, it's been a problem defensively for them.
Ball 2. 2-0. Dennis Leonard, 155 strikeouts. And Barker, as you see, led with 187. There's a good fastball. 2 balls and a strike. Bouncing ball. Frank White has it. 1 away.
Joe, Tom and I talked to Frank White, as we all did, talked to various players around the batting cage. Frank was talking about getting that first World Series, the World Series ground ball. He said, I want it in a hurry. And he's talking about it right now. He said, this field is much slicker and faster than the one in Kansas City. But he was very concerned, wasn't he, for a great fielder that he is.
Right now, he's talking to Willie Mays Aikens.
Tony, I think this AstroTurf, especially with a little chill in it, gets a little bit harder, and even Larry Bowe was concerned about it, that the ball's going to be a little bit quicker coming off that AstroTurf on the ground balls. In the summer, of course, when it's very warm, it's a little bit more resilient and takes some of the energy out of the ball and won't be quite as quick as it is under, say, cool weather conditions.
Misses. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You've heard it before, but we'll tell you again. The inspirational leader of this ball club, and throughout every out when they were behind in that league championship series, Rose was all over some of his players to inspire them.
By Hopper, UL Washington has it. There's a throw, 2 outs.
Okay, follow him coming back.
UL Washington, good arm, the toothpick kind of guides him, I believe.
He said at times he sleeps with it. I asked him why he puts the toothpick in his mouth, and he said, why not?
So they're 2 away, nobody on. Mike Schmidt. Schmidt, 48 home runs, 121 runs batted in, hit .286.
I gotta wonder, Tom, that if McRae is what I think he means to Brett, the guy behind Schmidt or in front of him, Rose, that they might mean to his year, because he's a guy they're going to try and pitch around, the same as they will Brett for the Royals.
Well, exactly right. Brett's is the guy on the Royal Ball Club you don't want to beat you. Schmidt's the guy who on the Philly Club could mean disaster. He could carry a ball club through a World Series if he gets hot. He had a very difficult playoff series, pressing probably, and now obviously looking for a very good World Series.
2 strikes to count on Mike Schmidt. Oddly enough, when you look at it, the 2 guys you don't want to have beat you, Schmidt of the Phillies and Brett of Kansas City, were both pretty well stopped in the playoffs, and yet they went on to win. So it shows the balance of both ball clubs. Strikes to count. Misses. Mike Schmidt has an interesting theory. He says that if he hits the fastball hard the first time, that he feels that he's given a message to the pitcher that I can handle your fastball. Doesn't necessarily have to be a base hit, just a good, hard, solid smack. Right now, it's 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on.
Joe, if he hits that fastball, too, Mike is an outstanding off-speed or curveball hitter, and if he can get to your fastball, you're in trouble.
He didn't get to that fastball, so he's out on strikes. The Phillies go down 1-2-3. We complete 1 inning of play. Kansas City, nothing. Philadelphia, nothing.
Well, the rookie Bob Walk of the Phillies had a relatively easy first inning. We talked to his pitching coach, Herm Starrett, to give us some insight on Bob Walk.
Bobby Walk has a fastball that could be overpowering, and he has a good curveball and also a good slider and a changeup. And if he can stay ahead of the hitters early and settle himself down, I feel like this young man can pitch a good ball game for us.
Bob Walk from his pitching coach, Herm Starrett. Harold Porter leads it off. Porter, 6-footer, 193, born in Joplin, Missouri. Every time I think of Joplin, I think of the late, great Gabby Street. Now lives in Kansas City. Didn't get it a fastball, overpowering, strike 1.
Joe, really among the regulars for the Royals, there weren't a whole lot of off years. Darryl Porter, you see by his stats, and Brian Gumble, the pregame show, told his story, but he had an off year, as did Amos Otis. But both had either physical problems or the rehabilitation problem that Darryl Porter went through. He's got a good eye. He can get you a base on balls in a hurry.
Walk team, just as Tony said, good base on balls hitter, and Porter is on, and Walk averages 4.2 base on balls per 9 innings. There's his first one of the night, and it brings up Amos Otis. Second walk given up by Bob Walk.
Those stats on Otis don't tell a true story. He came out of spring training. It was during the players' strike, the work stoppage. He went to a batting machine, one of those where you pay $1 for 50 balls, and one of the balls hit him on the finger. Ruptured a tendon. Just about 40 games.
Otis was a teammate of mine, Joe, when I was in New York for a while before he was traded over here to Kansas City. He was a center fielder, and Gil Hodges, who was our manager at that time, wanted to make him a third baseman, and Otis liked the outfield. And I think that's one of the reasons he was ended up being traded over to Kansas City.
That's funny, if a manager wants to make an infield and you like the outfield, you end up getting traded.
I think it's interesting as you look at fine players throughout Major League history who started out as shortstop as he did. The Red Sox organization, Mantle was a shortstop, DiMaggio was a shortstop. You could go on and name more and more.
2 balls and 1 strike. Nobody out. Well hit, left field. Smith going back. That ball's out of here. Home run for Amos Otis. And this crowd, some 65,000, really stilled as Otis seemed to reach out and hit that ball.
Tommy, looked like a breaking ball to you?
Looked like a breaking ball to me, Tony, and looked like he just reached out and punched the ball. And when he first hit it, I thought it was going to be a routine fly to the left field. Of course, the ball carries extremely well on this ballpark, but it certainly doesn't look with the swing that he had like he hit it home run power enough to hit it out. And Lonnie Smith gave up on it early.
You bet he did. You know, I think it's deceiving as we look at this one go out of the park for a 2-run home run. Many people feel the Phillies have more power on their team. Well, once you get by Schmidt, who had the big year, led the major leagues with 48, you go down to Luzinski with 19. A bigger ballpark that the Royals play in Kansas City, it is much more difficult to hit home runs out of. So their power could be deceiving, especially against right-handed pitchers.
There's the Kansas City bench. They've got a 2-run lead. And Hurdle is the batter. 2-2 pitch. Left center field. Lonnie Smith going back. He's calling for it. He's there. He makes the catch. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WMAQ-TV, Chicago.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek, Tom Seaver here in Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The Phillies trailing by 2, as you see. A home run by Amos Otis after a base on balls to Darrell Porter. That's the story. And here is Frank White. Right field. McBride has plenty of room. Makes the catch there 2-away. Amos Otis' home run, his very first World Series at bat, makes him the 16th player to do so. The last one was Doug DeCinces in 1979. So Otis, one of those boyhood dreams comes true. Here is UL Washington now.
This is one of the trouble spots that manager Jimmy Fry knew he had to fill when he took this job. Shortstop and bullpen. Well, we know he got Quisenberry. This guy right here really filled that shortstop hole, replacing Freddie Patek.
UL hit 273. He fouls off the first pitch. Young man, as we look at Jim Fry, the rookie manager of the Royals, UL Washington, I think a real inspiration to that aspiring ball player, because he was selected in 1973 by the Royals for their academy, went down there, graduated, and here he is in the big leagues. 2 strikes to count. He and Frank White, another graduate of the academy.
Washington's a switch hitter. Look how very quietly he went through that league championship series with that average. He's been switch hitting 5 years. You know what he said got to him, Tom? He said, the higher I got up in baseball, when I finally got to AAA, he was a natural right-hander. He said, that slider killed me. He said, it made me turn around to the left side.
It's killed a lot of him.
Oh, you bet.
That's low. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Herm Starrett, Dallas Green. Kansas City Royals, 2. Phillies, nothing. Top of the 2nd. Home run by Amos Otis. Bouncing ball, Pete Rose, fair ball, flips to his pitcher walk. Routine play for Pete Rose, a little bit exciting for walk. That ends the top of the 2nd inning, and the score, Kansas City 2, Philadelphia nothing.
Takes a 2-0 lead out for the 2nd inning for the Royals, and we talked to him yesterday. What he wants to look for and expect these Phillies hitters.
Well, basically, you'd like to know the guys in the lineup that can supply the power, and the Phillies have Schmidt and Lazinski. There might be a situation with a couple of men on base where, if there's an open base, you might not want to give in to them too much and, let them beat you with the long ball. But, basically, you want to know their strengths and weaknesses. You want to know how the other teams try to pitch them a little bit, and I guess we'll get into that a little bit more in the scouting report. But, basically, I feel my biggest thing to know is the ones that can hit the home runs and, try to neutralize that power.
Dennis Leonard neutralized the power. Bake McBride, batting 4th, takes it for ball 1. Bake right on top of that plate. Takes a strike on the outside corner. He likes the ball inside, uses a very light bat. 32 ounces, but he can get around on it. It's a small bat. UL Washington in time. Bake McBride is out. So there's 1 away, and it brings up Lazinski. The Goodyear Blimp Enterprise giving us those beautiful shots. The pilot, Captain Dick Daniels, and there you see it. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, where right now the Kansas City Royals lead 2-0, 1 out in the bottom of the 2nd. Greg Luzinski, the DH, designated hitter. Hit the left center field, well hit, way back, and making the catch, Willie Wilson.
That's it's one of those, Joe, and you talk to the Royals players or the opposition players in the American League, you will perk up your head and look for the center fielder, because Otis looked like he was closer to the ball initially, and Willie Wilson seems to come out of nowhere. You've heard it before, but he is, I think, the fastest man in baseball. Mark, you've got some tough ones in the National League, I know.
Martinez, his coach, said it's like having a four-man outfield like they have in softball. 2 outs, and this is Gary Maddox, who hit .259 regular season. Well hit. George Brett has it. Long throw across is in time, and Leonard has retired 6 in a row. We complete 2 innings of baseball here. The score is Kansas City 2, Philadelphia nothing. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. A good crowd on hand. Strike 1. Wilson was out on strikes his first time up. Chopper. Trio has it on a big hop. Easy out. Wilson is out. And that brings up Hal McRae. For the first time since he became commissioner, Bowie Kuhn is absent from a World Series game. His father passed away at the age of 87 earlier this week. The commissioner is in St. Augustine, Florida with his mother for the funeral, which will take place on Thursday. And all of us at NBC Sports, certainly all of baseball, send our condolences to Commissioner Kuhn. McRae fouls it off, and it's strike 1. McRae walked his first time up.
George Brett says of McRae that he did not know how to play the game of baseball in a winning fashion until McRae came over. This is one of the most aggressive men you'll ever see.
Base hit up the middle. McRae gets himself a hit. 1 out, 2-0. Royals leading, and McRae is on, and George Brett is the hitter.
There's a possibility that a running game could start. Of course, with a left-handed hitter, you'd like to have the hole open, but Brett, with his great bat control, he wants a new series of signs from the third base coach, Gordy McKenzie. That's what the finger was. Started all over. I wasn't watching.
Strike. Curveball. That's the first off-speed pitch he threw, Tom.
Joe, it'll be very interesting, really, to watch how they pitched to Brett. Now, the first time up, they gave George a fastball. He popped it up. The first pitch this time up, a fastball, and he comes back with what looks like a straight changeup. Looks like Booney wiggled his fingers before that to get the straight change, and it was a beautiful pitch. But it'll be interesting to see how a ball club here in the National League pitching against a fellow that they don't see all year. Just see him on TV, get the scouting report. Fellow that's hit .390. It can't be real easy for a rookie pitcher.
Maybe the American League will learn something from the National League. They didn't know how to pitch. And Billy Martin had a good theory. He talked about it on television during the championship series about how to pitch Brett. Never the same way, basically. It's more in depth than that.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
But there are some teams who try and pitch Brett away and play him away.
Everybody you talk to, they say there's no set way. You just have to keep changing. When you hit .390, you have to believe that. 1-2 pitch.
He was going. He was going. And I think Pete Rose yelled out to walk when he saw McRae leading and take 1 short stunner step, and he got walked the step off the rubber.
Tipped his bat. It's a strike. He gets some help from the third base umpire, Don Denkinger, and Brett is out on strikes. He wasn't sure of it. Harry Wendelstedt wasn't. He got some help, and it's a strikeout.
Pretty good breaking ball, Tom.
Looks like they're going back with hard stuff inside to him. That one good changeup, and that's a slider. Looks like it's going to be a strike. Looked like a fastball possibly fooled George. George, of course, had never seen Bob walk before, and it looked like it might have been, he thought it was a fastball back inside, broke down in the dirt, and fooled George. I don't think that George doesn't put that in his back pocket. He'll remember that pitch.
Willie Mays Aikens. Aikens flied to center field his first time up. McRae, the base runner. Holding. High, deep right center field. McBride going back. Maddox going back. Home run! That ball just got up there and just kept going. And Willie Mays Aikens just broke into his home run trot. He's just now getting to third base, and I don't blame him. He's going to enjoy it all the way. 4-0, Kansas City.
Tom, we were seeing on those 2 home runs, and I'm not demeaning either this one by Aikens or Amos Otis, but how well the ball carries in this ballpark. Here it is again.
Well, I can tell you from past experience, and you can see the awesome swing that Aikens has, that the ball will carry very well in this ballpark. Maddox was way over in left center, and he did hit that ball right where the defense wasn't playing. Even if the ball had stayed in the ballpark, it would have been an extra base hit, even for Aikens, who is not a fast runner.
Ball a little bit down and in, wasn't it?
So it's 4-0, and here is Darrell Porter, and it's ball 1. Bob walked in 1980. Gave up 8 home runs. He's been touched for 2 of them tonight. In the second inning, a walk to Porter and a home run by Otis. Now a base hit by McRae, a home run by Aikens. 2 balls and no strikes to count. 2 outs, nobody on. 4-0, Kansas City leading. Game 1 of the 1980 World Series. Misses 3-0.
The fans are getting restless right now. They're down by 4. And Tom, I just got done looking down that Phillies bullpen.
Well hit, right field. It is a foul ball.
Tony, you can see down there in the Phillies bullpen, nobody warming up. 4-0 already here in the the 3rd inning, and I think it gives you a situation of what the Phillies bullpen is really like. They had to work so hard in Houston to get out of Houston alive from the Astros that they are really spent down there. And I think philosophically what they're doing, they've got 2 games here, game tonight, game tomorrow night with Carlton Gore. And I think what they want to do deep down is to get out of Philadelphia 1-1. If they can get out of town 1-1 and have these 2 pitchers at least pitch maybe 6, 7, or 8 innings, I think they'll be happy. Herm Starrett coming out of the Philly dugout, going to pay his first visit to rookie Bob Walk. Well, I think it's obvious. If you look at the scoreboard, top of the 3rd, it's 4-0, and they still have nobody, warming up. 2 outs, another runner on first. There's Dallas Green in the Philadelphia dugout. That they want Walk to pitch some. They don't want to go out there and have to get him in the 3rd inning. They don't want to have to get him in the 4th inning.
Amos Otis is the batter. He had a home run, a 2-run homer his first time up. Breaking ball. Mike Schmidt coming in fast. Bare hand grab. Throw, not in time. Amos Otis beats it out. It'll be an infield hit. Tough play. Good speed by Otis. They have base runners at 1st and 2nd.
You'll see the speed of Otis on this breaking ball that he chops in the dirt. Schmidt was playing back. He made the play as quickly as you possibly could, barehanding it, flipping it over. And that'll show you the team speed of Otis in Kansas City. It'll show you the agility of Mike Schmidt down at 3rd base. He made 27 errors, but he could be very acrobatic down there.
That's another thing, Tony, about Mike Schmidt. Not only does he have tremendous confidence with his bat, he has tremendous confidence defensively, and he will try those kinds of plays. He will try the play that seems to be impossible because he's so confident in his abilities.
Strike is called. He went around, says Harry Wendelstedt. 1 strike. Here's the play again. See Wendelstedt. Fastball misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wilson was the first out in this inning, and McRae singled. Brett was out on strikes. A home run by Aikens, a walk to Porter, and a base hit by Amos Otis. And it's low. 2 balls and 1 strike. And there's Dickie Knowles for the Philadelphia Phillies as they start to loosen up. Base runners, Porter at 2nd, Otis at 1st, Clint Hurdle. Base hit to left field. Darrell Porter rounding 3rd. Here comes the throw. They got a chance. They got it. Easy. A throw by Lonnie Smith to Bob Boone. And that may be the play that'll turn it around for these Philadelphia Phillies, who seem to be playing the first couple innings under a little bit of ether.
Here comes Lonnie Smith. As Porter rounded 3rd base, he stumbled and broke stride. I'm not saying that's why he did not get it, because he's hot by 15, 20 feet. But Lonnie Smith threw a rainbow, but he still gets Porter. Right there. Right there, he broke stride. Gordy McKenzie sending him home, but no run scored.
Despite their grueling championship series with Houston, it's a relaxed and confident Phillies team. On the mound is Bob Walk, the first rookie pitcher to start Game 1 in 28 years. And batsmen like Amos Otis are just itching to get a crack at the kid. With a man on first in the second inning, Walk gets a rude World Series introduction. It's 2-0, and Amos Otis becomes the 16th player to homer in his first World Series at-bat. In the third, Willie Aikens, another debut performer, celebrates his 26th birthday. Just ask Willie Aikens if it doesn't feel good to be 26 and 4 runs in front. A couple more base runners put Clint Hurdle in the driver's seat. Hurdle's single sends a call for arms to rookie outfielder Lonnie Smith.
You got to arrive at home plate in a bad mood, not in a good mood. 4-0, bottom of the third. Here's Manny Trio. High chopper. UL Washington will have to hustle. Here's the throw. They get him. Good play by UL Washington.
Sometimes inconsistent, Joe, but darn good.
You used an expression before, a quiet way he does it.
Here it is, a chop ball by Trio. You can see the effects of the artificial surface. No play for Leonard. Trio does not have good speed. He's about average. UL Washington, used to the artificial surface, gets it over in a hurry.
You know, Tony, you hear about these guys in the American League, and everybody said what a fine, really a fine player, a fellow that solidified that Kansas City infield that Washington was, and that was an outstanding. That wasn't an easy play right there that he made. Good transfer and a good throw.
1 ball and 1 strike on Larry Boa. Dennis Leonard has retired 7 in a row. 1 ball hit on the infield. Foul out of play. Tom, he's been very impressive.
Very impressive, getting ahead of his hitters, a very good sinker, a good slider. Really been very, very aggressive. Somebody asked me the other day, said, what's his weakness? His weakness is April, May, and the first part of June. He just has a mental block about those early part of the year. He was 7-7, and then ended up 20-11. A workhorse of a pitcher. Joe, 280 some odd innings he threw for Kansas City this year.
He was 14-4 since June 29th, including a win over the Yankees in the playoffs. Bears out what you just said. Boa up the middle. That's going to go through for a base hit. There's the first hit of the game. So the Phillies have a base runner. We're in the bottom of the third, 4-0. 1 man out. Boa at first base. Boone hit 229, an off year, but you talk about a guy hurting. Got some big hits for him. His knees, he just can't even get down low enough to get in position to throw. His back.
He has been booed in this town during the course of this year, but not at World Series time, at least not yet.
Outside, ball 1. Boa at first.
Of course, the Phillies have team speed also. Boa, one of the men who can run, but down by 4 runs. Negates a lot of that speed. Unlikely that he'll go.
There he goes. There's a strike. The throw. Safe.
He got the crowd excited. That shows you how smart an old shortstop is. Unlikely to go. The words are out of my mouth, and he goes. The game has changed. And it is something that just might be enough to excite a Phillies team and get something going. Here comes Bo from left center field. Was Leonard not paying too much attention to him right there?
I think it's the same kind of thing you were talking about, Tony. It's 4-0, and really there's no way a runner's going to go, and he's just safe by a matter of 3 or 4 inches.
It surprised Frank White. I got to question his tag. He was behind the bag in short center field. Not that extreme, but it surprised him, and he didn't get to the bag in time.
It definitely took the Kansas City ball club by surprise. I think it took Leonard by surprise and White by surprise.
That's one of those stolen bases, I think, that's a commercial. It says, guys, we're not dead, and we're going to be running all night. We don't care what the scoreboard says. The scoreboard's up to the hit balls off and not to read.
Yeah, but I appreciate Tom Seaver getting me off the hook there. Thank you, Ken.
Fouled out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Line drive, left field. Base hit. Boy scored. 4-1. Boone headed to second. Here's the throw. Double.
Pitch it right down the line for 2 bases. And Booney, playing with a taped ankle, he was at home yesterday with his ankle on ice for several hours, was running pretty good on that ball. Rounded first base in good fashion, made a good slide into second base.
Tom, haven't you ever seen it when a guy's got a bad ankle, he's got a base hit inside, like he made a side trip to Lourdes?
You forget about all that tape and all the pain. If you can get a base hit or make an extra base, that pain goes away very quickly.
It's an instant miracle. Smith, base hit, left field. Boone will be held up at third. Lonnie Smith stumbles at first. They got him between first and second, and now the runner will try to score. He will, and Lonnie Smith will be tagged out by the first baseman, Willie Mays Aikens. But Boone scored. It's 4-2.
Just out of the reach of UL Washington. Boone was being held up by Lee Elia, the third base coach, being down by 3. There's the cutoff, George Brett, and they call the man who just gets trapped as Boone is scoring right now. Brett threw the ball too soon. He was afraid of Lonnie Smith's speed, but Smith fell down. They call him skates. He's done that before on this artificial surface. He's been kind of slipping and sliding all year long.
1 strike to count on Pete Rose, 4-2. We'll get the official scoring for you because Boone actually stopped at third, came in on the rundown. Rose doesn't get it.
Well, it's got to go 7.
It's
5
7,
is
5,
Brett.
3 was the put out. There's no RBI.
Give him an error.
Can't give an RBI.
Scores are the fielder's choice, I guess, on the throw. So even though Lonnie Smith may have goofed up, he at least got the run home, and that was his speed that did it.
Outside.
I think, Tony, is a pretty basic fundamental error, the kind of error that Kansas City will not make in a rundown. I think George Brett has got to get rid of the ball. He can't be running away from Boone with his back to Boone. He's got to get the ball down and let Frank White handle the ball at second base because Frank White has to play out in front of him.
Foul ball.
I think he was afraid of Lonnie Smith's speed. If he held it too long and didn't charge at him, Smith was going to beat his throw to second. Bullpen, Rennie Martin, he's got an excellent curveball. He has control problems, so unlike Dallas Green and the Phillies, just a couple runs off Leonard, and they've got somebody going.
They loved him in Cincinnati, and they love him in Philadelphia. He's that kind of player. Thinking about Pete Rose the other day, there's a 12-year-old heart inside a 39-year-old body.
1-2 pitch. Hit him.
Hey, he goes halfway out to the mound to Leonard.
He's not going to rub either. Look at him. He's not about to rub.
a slider. Rose takes it on the right leg, and then he starts out, and I believe he did have a couple of words for Dennis Leonard, the pitcher. Watch him. You think he isn't fired up? And he's got the fans fired up now too, Joe.
Well, I think it all started with that ball play, the base hit, and then picking up the second run. It's 4-2. The tying run is at the plate, and you got the guy who hit 48 home runs for you standing in there. Pete Rose is the guy who'll get it started for you. Tug McGraw, once again, talking about Pete Rose. He said if there's anybody in baseball that plays harder than Pete Rose, got to be an outpatient.
You know, Joe, you look at that pitch when Pete Rose got hit. He didn't try and get out of that ball very well. He said, go ahead here, let me have it. I'll take it and let Mike Schmidt up the baits with somebody on.
So the tying run is up there now. 4-2 is the score. 2 men out.
You can see here the slider breaks inside to Rose, and Rose just soon take first base any way he can get it. And he knows that'll fire his club up.
Fastball misses. Ball 1. The crowd, I tell you, there was just silence on the home runs by Amos Otis in the second inning, a 2-run homer. A 2-run homer by Aikens was 4-0, and all of a sudden this crowd, a jam-packed ballpark, really alive. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. 2-1.
Tony, I gotta believe with all the turmoil they've had around this Philadelphia clubhouse with Dallas Green and all his players, etc., and being branded the losers from 1964 and whatever, and having to carry that onus on their back for so long, the kind of things that a Rose does or a Boa does when he steals second base definitely has to lift the ball club.
3-1. Mike Schmidt. The score, 4-2. Kansas City leading. We're in the bottom of the third. 2 men out. Mike Schmidt, who struck out his first time up. Walking. First base on balls given up by Dennis Leonard. Here is Bake McBride, who bounced out his first time up. Schmidt at first, Rose at second. This inning started. Trio bounced out. Boa singled to center field. He stole second. Boone double to left, driving in Boa. Smith singled. Boone stopped at third. Smith got caught in a rundown. He was tagged out. 7-5-4-3, but Boone scored. And then Rose hit by a pitch, and now Schmidt has just walked.
Club this year. He's had 87. You've got to remember, a lot of the time he was hitting in the number 2 spot.
Strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Pete Rose put the match to the gasoline, and we had the explosion for 2 runs here. The crowd right behind their ball club. Well hit, right field, way back, home run.
Tried to sink the ball. There's Rose's reaction on the 3-run home run by McBride. The fans want McBride to come back out.
Foul ball. That's out of play. McBride did come out for a short while. And how quickly it changes. It's 5-4. And Jim Fry, who had a 4-run lead, as he went into this bottom half of the third, now trails by a run. 5-4 Philadelphia. Dallas Green, who wanted to break up the two right-handed power hitters, Schmidt and Luzinski, put McBride in that fourth slot, and oh baby, did it pay off for him. Pull foul, he got around on that one. 2 strikes.
Dallas Green. There he is. It's been a love-hate relationship between his team, some of the players, and himself. He's at spats with Luzinski, Boa, McBride, Maddox.
2 strikes to count on Luzinski. Fouls it back. Think about it. If he starts walk and he wins this game, Dallas Green with Carlton 1 up is really in good shape. So it's a much, much bigger game than is indicated just by the lineups.
Well, I think that what Tony said in the pregame show, we were talking about you might see a lot of runs. Here in the bottom of the third, we see 9 runs already.
He went around, he got him on strikes. That ends the inning, but a big inning for the Philadelphia Phillies. Look at this crowd on their feet as we end 3 innings. The score here, Philadelphia 5, Kansas City 4.
Still, with a 4-run cushion, 20-game winner Dennis Leonard ought to be breathing easily. But there's no such thing against these feisty come-from-behind Phillies. In the 3rd inning, Larry Boa strikes a blow for the bottom-of-the-order brigade. With this team, a rally can start here just as well as at the top of the order. The scrappy shortstop knows that someone has to stoke the coals. It's the 3rd time in World Series history the designated hitter rule is in effect, so batting 9th is catcher Bob Boone. The DH rule backfires on its American League founders as the Phillies' 8th and 9th batters produce their first World Series run. At the top of the order, Lonnie Smith gets another run home. And now it's Pete Rose who'll do just about anything to get on base. That includes getting hit by a pitch. And Rose, one of only 3 Phils who knows the World Series road, has Veterans Stadium alive. The Royals' once comfortable lead is now in danger. The potential tying runs are on for Bake McBride, who's batting cleanup despite having hit only 9 home runs the entire season. High, deep, and gone. McBride's 3-run homer puts the finishing touches on a 5-run third. And the Phillies, who came from behind in all 3 championship series victories, have catapulted into the lead.
The first 3 innings have been characterized by a bit of role reversal here at Veterans Stadium. The Royals, known as a speed team, have scored their 4 runs on 2 homers. The Phillies, known as a power team, used Kansas City-like speed and jarring to generate some offense, then topped off a 5-run inning with a 3-run homer by Bake McBride. So it's 5-4 Phillies, and of great import is the question of Bob Walk's ability to handcuff the Royals offense and buy much-needed time for a tired Philly bullpen. As we start the 4th, the 60,000-plus fans of the Bat have lots to cheer about. Joe?
Okay, Brian. Here's Frank White. It's a strike. Dallas Green, starting his rookie Bob Watt, got in trouble, sticking with him. Didn't mean to swing. It's going to be a tough play. Rose to walk in time. 1 out.
Rose makes this play like he's been playing first base his entire life. Remember, this is just his second year there. He gets the ball, walk is over in time, he shovels it over in a big hurry because White can run. He is a very aggressive infielder, Pete Rose. He goes after balls. He might not have the speed of some.
Tony, I think he's just an aggressive player, the kind of a guy that just generates excitement. He makes it happen. He's the one with Boa who really woke this crowd up, this Phillies team. They seem to be thinking, well, let's see what happens. And he just makes it happen.
Now, Boa, with the steal 4 runs down, I believe forced Dennis Leonard, a veteran pitcher, to lose his composure. Then he hit Rose and the fireworks went off.
Boa has it. In time. UL Washington is out. Good play by Boa. 2 up and 2 down. Brings up Willie Wilson.
Here's Boa.
Go ahead, Tony. Excuse me.
I'll tell you one thing, he doesn't miss many balls at all. He has slowed down a step with age. It was a very close play, as you saw UL Washington speed, especially from the left side.
Willie Wilson was out on strikes his first time up. He bounced out second to first in the third inning. He's 0 for 2, strike 1. 5-4. The Phillies lead. We're in the top of the 4th. Nobody on, 2 men out. Strikes. Bob Walk coming right at him. Wilson didn't like the call. Simple 1 for a fastball. There it was. Didn't mean to swing. Mike Schmidt has it. Big hop. Throw in time. It was close, but they got him. Schmidt to Rose. 3 up and 3 down. And we go into the bottom half of the 4th inning to score here. Philadelphia 5, Kansas City 4. And due up for the Philadelphia Phillies in the bottom of the 4th, Gary Maddox, Manny Trio, and Larry Boa. Right now it's Gary Maddox to lead it off. Maddox bounced out his first time up. First pitch, he swings and fouls it back. First ball, fastball hitter, and he bears it out.
You go right after that first pitch, Joe, no question about it. Especially the ball up in the strike zone. That one looked like it might have been out of the strike zone. And Gary goes to hack him.
There's the strike. Think you'd ever see the daytime where you just go back into Rosenbach and throw the Rosenbach up to see if he'd swing at it?
I'll tell you, that's the reason in almost 600 plate appearances, he walked just 18 times.
Boys, he spread out with 2 strikes. Look at that. Outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Tom, you remember him early on when he was with the Giants and that? He used to really wail at the ball and was a free swinger. Then he spread out and he went through a streak for a couple of years where he punched the ball in the right field.
I think he's definitely now just a contact hitter. Joe once hit that ball back through the middle, likes to hit the fastball.
He'd rather talk about his fielding. He's a tremendous center fielder. Much has been written about him. I thought Ralph Kiner, the Hall of Famer, had a great line. Ralph, describing the Phillies-Mets game, said that the earth is 2/3 covered by water and the other 1/3 is covered by Gary Maddox. That's about right. Got him. So there's 1 away in the bottom of the 4th. That's the 3rd strikeout for Dennis Leonard.
There's the pitch. Might have been a little bit outside. Slider, Tom, or a cut fastball?
I think Maddox might have been full of it. Looked like a slider. Porter wanted the ball away, and Leonard put it right where he was calling for it. Looked like an outstanding pitch because Maddox in that situation is certainly just trying to make contact.
Manny Trio. Trio bounced out his first time up. Inside, ball 1.
You know, Tony, we were talking about it in between innings after the last inning. Leonard sailing along very smoothly, and Boa gets on, steals a base, and for a 20-game winner, an outstanding pitcher, 280 innings, looked like he just plain lost his composure all of a sudden.
And then he hit Rose, and that was it. He went further in the hole. He is a very tough kid, and the word competitor is overused many times, but he is that. And it was unlike him to have that happen to him, and that is not taking anything away from the Phillies, because McBride still had hit that son of a gun.
ball, 1 strike on Manny Trio, 1 out, 5-4.
Trouble.
High chopper, tough play, base hit. So Trio is on. It's a base hit, and it brings up Larry Boa.
This has got to frustrate the daylights out of a pitcher, Tom. The artificial surface, you make the good pitch a sinker.
Well, he made a good pitch, definitely a sinker, and Manny just drives the ball right down in the dirt in front of home plate. The dirt's very hard out there. It really helps Manny. It helps Bake McBride, the guys with the great speed. If they can drive the ball down into that dirt area in front of home plate, the ball is going to bounce so high just the way it did. It's like an automatic base hit.
Single, stole a base, and scored on a double by Boone as the batter. Trio's on at first. 1 man out, 5-4. Phillies are leading, bottom of the 4th.
That's Ruben Amaro, the first base coach. He is very adept at picking up pitch outs right from the manager of the opposing dugout or the catcher, and then he'll go to the pitcher. Bobby Wine on the bench, also very good, will help out Amaro and the base stealers.
Bad throw. There goes Trio. Akins can't pick up the ball. So the Phillies, watch his throw. It's a low throw.
His right foot gave, didn't it, Tom?
It's another classic example of really bad baseball. I think like the rundown that they had when Booney scored. That's a situation where you have a pitcher, Dennis Leonard, doesn't have an outstanding move, has an average move, a fair move. And what you've got to do is just try to keep the runner set over there. Don't let him steal. And here he's trying to pick him off. And that's a situation you just give a base away. That's a mental mistake. That's not, that situation right there for a pitcher is not a physical mistake. It's a mental mistake. Those are the mistakes that you make when you beat yourself.
1-0 pitch now to Boa. Shortened up as if to bunt. Takes a strike. Brett was back. Pulls him in a couple steps with that fake bunt. 1-1 the count on Boa. Bouncing ball. White nicely in time. Boa's out. Moving to third is Trio.
He made the play look easy. There is nobody better in the game of baseball today in the major leagues anyway who has more range than the man at second base, Frank White. He might have saved 5 runs in a championship series against the Yankees when he made 3 outstanding plays. He was playing Boa up the middle. Boa pulled it. White still got over.
There's Frank White, a little meeting on the mound. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WMAQ-TV, Chicago.
Philadelphia leading, bottom of the 4th. Bob Boone, who doubled in a run in that 3rd inning, is the batter. It was a pitch inside. He pulled it down the left field line. 2 men out. Trio's at 3rd. There's the strike.
And with the 9 spot up right now, Boone, this is a rest spot at times for a pitcher in the National League. Without the DH, you'd have a pitcher up there. But you got 9 guys swinging the bats pretty well in the lineup. There's Brett even with the bag.
Base hit down the right field line. Trio scores. Boone rounding first. He's heading for second. He's got his 2nd double of the night. Phillies lead 6-4.
You know, I talked to Bob last night, Tony, on the phone. I called him over at his house. He lives over in New Jersey. He had his ice around his feet. Didn't know if he'd be able to play. At least I didn't. I said, how you doing, Boone? He says, fine. I said, you playing? He said, I got this far. I'm not quitting now. And he didn't, you know, he had to go to get an x-rays. Didn't know if he had a broken foot or whatever. There's no way that he wasn't going to play when he got to the park today. Now he's got a double down both lines.
And I don't think that pitch was away. It looked like he inside and out. It was inside part of the plate, and yet he led with the hands and sliced into the right field corner.
So we're going to have a pitching change, a break in the action with the score 6-4. The Phillies with 2 men out, and we'll be right back. Birthplace, Dover, Delaware, still lives there. Rennie Martin.
Martin's 25 years old, Joe. Graduate of Richmond University with a major in finance. Very appropriate. Good fastball, riding kind of fastball, has an outstanding curveball. Curveball that'll break straight down. Really hasn't learned how to pitch yet. He's had such an outstanding curveball through his, let's say, his youth ball and minor league ball. The catchers just continually called for it. And he never really learned how to use that curveball. He's just beginning to learn how to use the curveball. Got to the big leagues and found out that you can't throw the curveball every time to each hitter. You learn how to hit those things up here.
Pete Rosen at on-deck circle really studying Rennie Martin as Lonnie Smith steps in the batter's box. He is 1 for 2. Hits the first pitch, a fly ball to right field. Hurdle should have no problem. He doesn't. He makes the catch, and that ends the inning. Phillies pick up a run. We complete 4 innings of baseball here. The score, Philadelphia Phillies 6, Kansas City 4, and we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Great moments of 1980. Don't miss out on next year's great moments. Baseball Fever. Catch it now for 1981.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Well, we're back at Veterans Stadium. Joe Garagiola, Tom Seaver, statistician Steve Dans, Tony Kubek. We're going to the 5th. It'll be Hal McRae, George Brett, Willie Mays Aiken to face Bob Walk, who had the rough start, a shot from the blimp. You think that guy who invented the game, whomever it is, and it varies, didn't know what he was doing when he laid out that diamond right there?
You put more frustration into those 90 feet base pass and that 60 foot 6 inches than any man could ever create. I know that.
I think if Rip Van Winkle was a baseball fan, he could wake up, come here, and somebody would tell him what the artificial surface was, the high salaries, and nothing would change. The DH, I know, you would say that.
Yeah.
Well, it's 6-4. The Phillies lead over the Royals. Kansas City on 2 home runs. One by Otis, one by Aiken, jumped off to a 4-0 lead. McRae, right field, hits it hard. McBride back to the warning track. The ball is carried up against the wall. He's got it. Ball just kept on going.
McBride found that wall and just leans back after he makes the catch. At warning track, a great thing because your feet, you can feel it. Your feet tells your brain, hey, we're getting close to danger here. Let's get out of here. He had enough room, makes the catch.
So now it's George Brett. First inning, he fouled to Schmidt at third, and then he was called out on strikes on a wicked breaking ball from Bob Walk. That was in the 3rd. Kansas City, 4 runs, 5 hits. They've committed 1 error. That by Leonard, a wild pickoff throw. Phillies 6 runs, 6 hits. Brett, fly ball, right center field. Maddox back to the wall again.
Oh, no!
Fine play by Gary Maddox. He just might be the best in the major leagues, and he might have proved it with that catch.
Walker started Brett out 3 times on fastballs, and it looks like he got that one up from George just a little bit where George couldn't get it all. Maddox, of course, Tony, as you say, an outstanding, if not the most outstanding center field in baseball, makes a beautiful catch.
Well, I think when you watch Maddox and see where he starts from, because he plays relatively shallow, and he was shading Brett about, well, he's about straight away on him, so he had a long way to go to right center field. But there are 2 outs on 2 balls hit fairly well, and now it'll be Willie Mays Aiken, a fly ball and a 2-run home run in the 3rd.
They both hit 2 first pitches. It'll be interesting to see what Willie Mays Aikens does.
Well, he throws a ball up there that they don't go after, so it's 1 ball, no strikes with 2 outs. Phillies 6, Kansas City 4. We're at the top of the 5th.
And no strikes to count. You know, World Series time, a great voice, Mal Allen, we got some flashbacks. Mel Allen was going to stir some memories. We've got some beautiful flashbacks that, well, I know you're going to enjoy, because I don't care what ball is hit or what play, it always reminds you of another play. And I know when I was growing up, and I hope Mel appreciates this, it wasn't official as Mel Allen was doing it. How about that?
All right, may get a chance to see one when this third out is made. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 out to Willie Mays Aikens. Breaking ball goes 2-2. Took something off. So Walk has shown a few more off-speed pitches than I thought he might today, even though, and he stuck with it, even though Otis sent one out. He gets him, so Willie Mays Aikens goes down on a curveball or slider. Walk goes out, 6-4. Phillies lead.
The score is tied at 4-all. Babe Ruth has pointed to the bleachers in Chicago's Wrigley Field. Taunted by the Cubs. Charlie Root pitches. Ruth swings. There's a drive going to deep center field. Going. It is into the center field bleachers.
Smith McBride against Rennie Martin. World Series records. Babe Ruth #2 behind Mantle with 18. Here's sidekick. Neighbor, Yogi Berra. 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes to Pete Rose. In that Phillies 5-run third that got him back in the ball game, started off peacefully as Trio grounded out. Then Boa single. Ground ball. Washington will have a tough play. A little tricky hop. Long throw. He's got him. 1 out. Well, I want to remind you, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, games people play. You'll see the World Cannonball Championships, soupy sails and custard pie throwing. Seaver's been on the receiving end of those at times. Something he's no stranger to, skateboard fever strikes. The hottest thing on 4 wheels and more this Thursday on Games People Play. We hope you'll watch right here on NBC. 1 out, Phillies lead 6-4. We're in the bottom of the 5th. Rennie Martin relieved Dennis Leonard. It's Mike Schmidt. He has struck out, he has walked and scored a run. 1 ball. Two balls, no strike. One thing Schmidt has done, one of his first years in the big leagues, he struck out 180 times. This year he went just over 100 slightly. He appears, Tom, to have moved off the plate a little bit.
Well, definitely this year he's moved off the plate, Tony. And over the last, say, 3 or 4 years, Mike has become very selective at the plate. He used to come up and be hacking at everything. He has become a much more disciplined hitter, and he knows he gets up there and he's a much better hitter if he gets in a situation with 2 balls and no strikes. And he'll let a pitcher get behind him, whereas before he used to go up and just start swinging. But he knows that if he gets that pitcher in the hole and he's so strong and he can be more selective, he's a much more effective hitter. Become a very intelligent hitter in the last 3 or 4 years in the big leagues. Outstanding power. Sitting here right now in a 3-1 situation. He's got a pitcher right where he wants him.
He walks him on a 3-1 pitch, so Schmidt's on with 1 out, and the Phillies leading by 2 over the Kansas City Royals in game #1 of the 1980 World Series. Now it's Bake McBride, and listen to the hand. He hit a 3-run home run in the 3rd.
Here's the home run swing the last time up. Leonard looks like he gets the ball out over the plate, and he really goes out after it.
You know, the scouting report on McBride is to see that pitch, I guess, is that he's a high ball hitter. That ball was down in the strike zone.
Looked like it was down, Tony, right in the middle of the plate. Looked like a good pitch to hit for him. No, he didn't really get it out, didn't get it in either. Look, it was right out there, a good pitch to hack at.
1 ball, says Harry Wendelstadt, the home plate umpire, to Bake McBride with Schmidt at first base. They play McBride about straight away in the outfield, about the same in the infield, but he can slither that ball through the right side with his pitch. He hits it the opposite way. Base hit for McBride. Schmidt will hold at second as Wilson relays the throw home. So, Rennie Martin got behind 2-1. McBride slashed it to left field. 2 on, 1 out, and it's the Bull.
Martin's a breaking ball pitcher and gets behind in a situation. Has to throw a fastball, tries to run the ball away from McBride. He simply punched it in the hole between George Brett and Joel Washington at short.
Now time will be called, and I'm going to let you talk about this guy because it's one of your dear friends, Billy Connors, the pitching coach, going out town.
Well, you know, he is one of my best friends that I do have in baseball. He worked for the Mets organization. We were teammates when I played for the Mets for a couple of years. Came out of the Cubs organization, has done an outstanding job over here for the Royals this year. His first job here in the big leagues as a pitching coach. And where did he come from? He came from the Phillies minor league system. So he not only is he done a fine job for the Royals over here, knows most of the young Philly pitchers as well.
There's another guy sitting on that Royals bench, 26 years in organized baseball, finally made it to a World Series, Jimmy Schaefer. A lot of bus rides.
So now with 2 men on base, Schmidt is on second, McBride is on first. There's Jimmy Fry on Billy Connors. Lazinski is up. He's 0 for 2, a strikeout and a flyout. The Phillies lead 6-4 the bottom of the 5th. Martin's pitch. Look out, it got the ball. He is not too mobile at the plate, but there's no way anybody's going to get out of the way of that pitch. So the bases are loaded with 1 out, and it's Gary Maddox.
Here's the pitch again. It just sails right in. The bull just takes, well, he takes it off the side there, about maybe a 28-calorie bite. But it'll be interesting to see now what happens with Maddox, who is a first ball hitter. What will Rennie Martin do?
Well, as Tom said, first ball, fastball hitters, and the fans are getting riled up once again. They're in tight at the corners. Brett Nakins, the middle of the diamond, double play depth. Martin will pitch with a windup. 1 out. Too high, ball 1. 1 out. The bases are loaded. Maddox facing Rennie Martin. He's grounded out and struck out. Now look, 1 ball, 1 strike. Good curveball. Wicked curveball by Rennie Martin. Tom, Martin, we've seen him before. It's now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cannot get by without getting his curveball over the plate. That one was a bad pitch, but as good as it is, as hard as it is, he'll get guys to swing at that curveball.
Well, he's been mitigating behind people too, Tony, and he's got to get to a situation where he can use that curveball because it is outstanding.
Hit deep to left field, but it is hooking foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out.
That's a curveball as a catcher. I'd go out there and say that was a hanger. It just hung, and he waited for it, and he was going to tee off on it.
I think Rennie Martin already knows that it was a hanger.
Look at that stat right there. Hit 750, driving in mid from third with less than 2 out. That is outstanding for Maddox. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. The base is loaded. 2-2. Fly ball in field. Set score run. Schmidt is tagging up. Wilson with the throw home. He goes to third. So now the Phillies have the lead 7-4.
Maddox drives in another run, 7-4. Maddox gets the sacrifice fly. Wilson not a bad arm. There you see Schmidt tagging up. You see, unlike the championship series, he did not leave early.
And you can see the third base coach, Lee Elia, pointing to McBride. McBride was also tagging up. Had Wilson thrown a rainbow home, McBride would have been on third, or might have tried it. Trio up now. 1 ball, no strikes with 2 outs. Phillies 7, Kansas City 4. We're in the bottom of the 5th. Rennie Martin. And he has got to be experiencing some first game, first appearance World Series jitters.
No question he's got to be a little nervous, Tony. 8 out of 10 hitters that have come up there. First pitch has been ball 1. He's been behind almost everybody. Hasn't been in a situation where he can use his curveball and the hitter can just sit on his pitch.
And he did. He went after a fastball but popped it up to the right side. A 2-0 pitch, Willie Mays Aikens. So Rennie Martin retires the Phillies, but not after they'd scored 1 more run. So after 5 here at Vet Stadium in game number 1 of the 1980 World Series.
Amos Otis to be followed by Clint Hurdle. And coming in, the suggestion was the Phillies, as a result of an exhausting series with Houston, would be lethargic and fatigued. Instead, it's the Royals who appear to be playing tentative baseball, and the Phillies were making things happen depleting 7-4. As we start the 6th, Bob Walk looks stronger than ever. He's retired 6 in a row since his teammates gave him a lead to protect. Tony?
All right, thank you, Brian. Carter Otis hurdle, 7-4. The Phillies over Kansas City. The game, and you can never say it about a World Series game or any game, looked like it might get out of hand when the Royals took a 4-run lead. But Boa and Rose triggered it, and then McBride with a 3-run home run got him back in and ahead. 1 ball, no strikes. Carter has walked twice in this ball game. Amos Otis on deck. With all the paraphernalia, pine tar rags, a leaded donut, a leaded bat, towels. Count goes 2-1 in their quarter. Tom, what kind of pitching pattern has he gone to now? It looked like when they scored the runs, and obviously it's got to recharge a pitcher, but he's coming pretty good with fastballs now. Foul, maybe playable. Schmidt, Scott.
I'll tell you what Brian said when we came into the inning, retired 6 in a row, and really seems to be getting his feet on the ground. Obviously, the runs that the Phillies attacked on the board for him have helped, but he's coming at the Royals with fastballs. Good hard stuff. He's got to throw hard stuff. Here you see Mike Schmidt flagging down Darrell Porter's pop fly. It looked like it was going to go in the stands and came back to him, got it right along the railing. Schmidt, of course, not standing defensive player in perfect position. But it looks like Walk's getting his feet on the ground, and the thing that he wants to do now is to make the Royals hit the ball. Make them, if they're going to do something, make them do it. Don't give them a free pass. Don't give them a walk. Control really is the key that he has to have now.
Amos Otis with a home run and a single. 7-4. The Phillies lead over Kansas City. Well, every inning that Walk gives them from here on in is a plus for the Phillies and Dallas Green, and especially that beleaguered pitching staff. Fouled out of play by Otis. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Amos Otis on a home run in that 2nd inning really didn't look like he drove the ball, but once he touched it off, it just seemed to carry. Reached out and almost one-handed it, and Lonnie Smith could do nothing in left field but just watch it go over.
That one-handed follow-through is a trademark of hitters who have been coached by Charlie Lau. He feels you get more extension with it. His prize pupil, of course, George Brett. Outside, 2-2. In fact, Charlie Lau, now the hitting instructor, I often wondered, in fact, the first thing I thought of when I saw that game in Yankee Stadium, when Brett hit the home run off Gossage, Charlie Lau sitting in the Yankee dugout, what went through his mind?
I'll tell you what went through his mind. He wasn't going to play in the World Series. That's what went through his mind.
2-2. Popped up right side. Trio back. McBride calls him off. There are 2 outs. Well, right now, I'm going to remind you of this. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. I almost got through that without making a mistake until I hit express. Did you notice that, Tom? 2 outs. Clint Hurdle, 1 strike with 2 outs. Phil 7, Kansas City 4. We're in the 6th. Hurdle is flied out and single to left. Did he go? He must have gotten a piece of it because he fouled it off. Harry Wendelstedt wasn't sure. He went down to the 3rd base umpire.
See if we can see it when it sounded like he ticked it.
No, it hit the shin guard. That's what I heard. Yeah. I was going by sound. Went down to the 3rd base umpire, American Leaguer Don Denkinger. He said, yeah, he didn't check in time. Could be trouble. Bo is right. And the 2-2 count. Almost a bad throw by Bo, who's had some arm problems, but Rose scoops it out. So 3 up, 3 down.
You know, when we travel around during the summer, we get asked a lot of questions. Tony Kubek is always asked about a particular play.
Pass to the 8th. Bobby Shantz pitches to Bill Burton. A ground ball hit to short. It hits Tony Kubek in the throat. Here's another look at it in slow motion. This play opened the floodgates for the Pirates to go on to win the World Championship.
Don't they ever ask you about the 2 home runs you hit in Milwaukee?
Every time I go to Pittsburgh and many other places. That's what people remember. Larry Boa facing Reddy Martin, the second pitcher. Dennis Leonard had a comfortable 4-0 lead, 2 home runs, and then he lost it. McBride, a 3-run homer, but Boa is the guy who let it on. 1 ball, I'll make it 2 strikes now on Larry Boa, but it was Boa in that 3rd inning who singled the center, stole second, surprising everybody, I think, shook up Leonard, and went on to score 5. Popped up behind home plate. Porter with the mask off. Wendell sat right there. 1 out. 7-4. Phils over the Royals. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Game 1 of the 1980 World Series. And while we got a chance here as Boone comes in, he's got 2 doubles. It is really a status symbol, Tom, when you have an assistant in the booth, and I think we ought to give a little credit to Paul Moskow, one of the pitchers. That's Steve Dance to the far left. That guy you know. Tom Seaver.
Here he is, there. Put your head out there, Muskie.
What Paul is doing, he is in communication with a man with a radar gun and some observations down behind home plate. They are relayed to Moskow, who's charting pitches, and as the series progresses, as Boone goes 1 ball, no strike, we'll be able to tell you a little bit about pitching patterns, whether or not they change, where a guy might hit the ball. There it is, a very beautiful modern multi-purpose stadium. Back down the off day yesterday, the Philadelphia Eagles on the big second half Sunday. Out, short hop by White. Over to Akins, Boone's down. 2 outs. I'll tell you, the umpires in some excellent positioning right there as White throws out Boone. But the second base umpire, Paul Pryor, circled around to get the perfect view to see whether it was trapped or caught on the ball hit to White. There's Pryor. He's had World Series experience. Paul Pryor, he's from the National League. So they finally retire Boone. He's 2 for 3, and it's Lonnie Smith. Smith had a part in that 3rd as he takes a ball from Reddy Martin. He singled, but then he got caught in a rundown between 2nd and 3rd while he was being retired. Boone is the guy who scored. Fouled out a play by Smith, 1-1. This man has tremendous speed. In fact, he'll get some votes for Rookie of the Year, I believe, Tom.
Yeah, an outstanding year. Tremendous speed on the bases. Something that really makes the Philly club go. You put Rose behind him, and then you got the Bombers, 2 Bombers, Luzinski and Schmidt. Luzinski coming up after him. Looks like Dallas Green loves him. He's a fine, outstanding prospect. Should have a fine career.
Chop, Brett behind the bag. He almost lost it. He double clutches. Lonnie Smith's speed as Brett did not have control of the ball. And we just saw the speed of Smith.
It really emphasizes the importance of speed, and not only offensively and defensively, but here in the offensive situation, 1 little bobble by Brett, a guy like Lonnie Smith with his speed, it becomes no contest. Brett might have a shot at him if he can get the ball cleanly out of his glove and get it away quickly with a good strong throw, but he bobbled it just for a second, and that could be the difference over at first base.
Here's Romaro after a couple of, he's the coach, after a couple of throws over home, he calls timeout often, talks to Lonnie Smith if he picks up a move or a pitch out. He stole 33 bases. He's gone. The throw from Porter. UL Washington makes the tag. He's out. Well, he was 33 for 46 in the regular season, but not today. As it's a 3-up, 3-down inning after Smith's single, he was thrown out. Rose protecting him.
Porter, just a classic throw. He really gets into it and gives the infielder UL Washington a good ball to handle, and that's it.
After 6, Phillies 7, Kansas City 4, and we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
And it'll be Frank White and UL Washington and Willie Wilson for Kansas City. There's the strike. Walk has really been tough. 9 men in a row. Frank White fly to right and bounced out. Base hit up the middle, and there goes the streak that Walk had going, and White is on.
Here it is. It didn't take Frank White long to jump over Walk and break the 9 consecutive retired streak. I'll tell you, that follow-through was not a good one, but it might have saved him from taking one off the kneecap or shin, because that ball was really drilled.
So White is on, and here is UL Washington. 65,791 here in the ballpark. The attendance, the largest World Series crowd since the 4th game in the 1964 World Series. Slow ball one. Has to be the largest crowd ever in Pennsylvania for a baseball game. 1 ball, no strikes. There's a shot of it. And tomorrow night, Carlton against Gura. Line drive, left field. Lonnie Smith played him perfectly. UL Washington is out number 1 in the 7th inning. The ball was hit hard, but defensed well.
That's what the charts are all about. They got him positioned perfectly, hit well, as you said, Joe, but on the first step, once again, Lonnie Smith fell and almost went to the turf.
Willie Wilson, the batter, he's 0 for 3. He struck out in the 1st inning. He bounced out 2nd, the 1st, and the 3rd. He was out 3rd, the 1st, and the 4th. Really taking a good look at his third base coach, McKenzie. It's a 7-4 score. Philadelphia's out in front. It's a strike. He'd be bunting for the base hit. No sacrifice here.
He is not yet a proficient bunter. If he ever gets that down, can you imagine what he'll do with about 230 base hits this year?
People are down there talking. Tony said if he could learn to bunt, very difficult to bunt, I grant you, on AstroTurf. But if he could learn to bunt, they say he'd hit at least 350.
This is strike. Every time I hear that, it just reminds me like if a guy would say if Sinatra could only learn how to sing opera. And here's a guy with the years that he's had if he learned how to bunt. Here's a 1-2 pitch. There goes the runner. It's low and inside. Booney can't make the play, and White is on at second base. Stolen base. 7-4 is the score. Phillies are out in front. We're in the 7th. 1 man out. 2-2 the count on Willie Wilson. And now they switch sides. There you see it.
Well, the Royals have 6 men in their starting lineup today who are base stealers, and you just saw White do something. Tough play for Boone. White did something about like Boa, because they're down 3, but that's one of the ways this game has changed. For artificial surface, you build your team for speed.
Down the left field line, Lonnie Smith is there. He's going to make the play. He does. So Wilson is out. White remains at second. There, 2 away. The batter is Hal McRae, who walked in the 1st inning. He singled and scored in the 3rd, and he flied to right. Schmidt is going to go to first base. There's a throw. That ends the inning. End of 7. Philadelphia 7, Kansas City 4. We talked about Reggie Jackson using body English. Remember 1977? Let's have a fall classic flashback.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. A big, big World Series for Reggie Jackson, despite all the palaver about his discontent with Billy Martin as he comes up with his 3rd home run of the series. Hard shot right field, it's gone. Oh, what a World Series for Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson has seen 2 pitches in the strike zone tonight, 2, and he's hit them both in the seat.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, what a blow. What a way to top it off. Forget about who the most valuable player is in the World Series. How this man has responded to pressure. Oh, what a beam on his face. How can you blame him? He's answered the whole world.
Pete Rose in the bottom half of the 7th inning. The Phillies are out in front by 3. 7-4 is the score. George Brett calling a foul ball. They call it a foul ball.
I'll tell you, both umpires hesitated a little bit right there, Joe.
Yes, they did. Wendelstedt was waiting for Denkinger, and finally the teamwork really meshed, because that's what you don't want is a double decision.
Here it is, check swing. Wendelstedt is waiting to see where it goes. It's his call before it gets to the bag. Third base afterwards. And Weddlestat made the call right there. Boy, I'll tell you one thing. They waited and made sure, and that was so important in that call.
Rose 0 for 2, hit by a pitch, came around to score, and then 5-run third. Bouncing ball to UL Washington. 1 out. One away, and it brings up Mike Schmidt. Schmidt struck out in the first. He walked and scored. He scored when McBride hit that home run, a 3-run homer. And Schmidt walked and scored in the 5th. Sacrifice fly by Maddox.
Tom, you've talked a little bit about a Kansas City Royals staff with pitch a Schmidt. How do you pitch a Schmidt?
Well, again, Tony, it depends on how you're throwing. You know, I know he's become much more selective over the years. If you're throwing well, personally, if I'm throwing well, I'll try and throw him hard stuff in. Any big home run hitter, you don't want to let him extend his arms. Now, I haven't faced him since he's moved off the plate as far as he is. This is going to be new for me when I pitch against him next year. Because when I faced him, he was up closer to the plate, the way he has been throughout his career.
3-2 pitch. That's fouled out of play. Tomorrow night, Steve Carlton against Larry Gura. In this game that Bob Walk has given Dallas Green, I'll tell you, it's almost like just a big shot in the arm. Everybody talking about the pitching staff and how they had to battle the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Montreal Expos to win it, and how they battled Houston. Now here, trying to give Carlton an extra day's rest, and they're 3 runs ahead in the 7th. Brett to his left, can't get it. Washington deep in the hole, no way. And Mike Schmidt, for some reason, stopped. And then he went through. He almost got thrown out on that. He thought that ball was in left field.
He thought Ruben Amaro was giving him the take her easy stone. You can see him right now, or he may have thought he said round the bag, it's through, but that'll give you the idea of the aggressiveness of the Kansas City infielders. Here's our left center field camera. Right there, Schmidt thought, or just after he goes out of the picture, he thought Amaro's saying rounded, it's in left field. UL Washington showed his speed and quickness by stopping it from going to left.
Ball just got by George Brett. Strong arm. Washington, of course, not seeing him play very often. Outstanding strong arm. Mike looked like he got with his hand in the cookie jar when he got about 10 feet from first base, didn't he?
Your guy in Cincinnati, though, Concepcion, has that play where he bounces it on the artificial surface and it picks up speed, which is a good play.
I'm not sure it's the quickest way to get his throw over there.
I tell you, the games we saw him, it worked. Strike 1. Looks nice. I'm not going to argue with you. Today's Columbus Day.
No, that was.
I don't argue on my holidays.
2 days ago.
One reason might be that David Concepcion's out in Los Angeles with about a 10-inch scar on his elbow. He just had some bone chip taken out of that elbow. That might be one reason he's been doing that, too.
Pitch out, nothing going on. You know, mentioning Houston, and maybe we waited a bit too long, but certainly congratulations to Bill Burton and that Houston Ball Club. What a tremendous, tremendous season they had.
And doggone it, I heard Gossage, whether he was misquoted or not, say the whole season was wasted. Baloney. The year he had, you don't waste a season like that, not with one pitch.
The Houston Astros battling all the way. Tragedy. Lost J.R. Richards, Cedeno, and kept battling. The Yankees, what a year they had. Just a tremendous year for baseball. These Kansas City Royals, they just kind of laid in the bushes, and when it came time to play, they played. They were 20 games in front in August. Swept the Yankees 3, but it's a good season. Our congratulations to Houston, New York, certainly here. Line drive, base hit. Mike Schmidt stops at second. Whoops, get back there.
That's a play that a lot of right fielders and shortstops are pulling now, where the shortstop will fade back in the cutoff position between third and second, and the right field will throw for the second base bag. Washington come up, breaking ball up in the strike zone, Tom, a little bit out over the plate. Boy, when he hits the ball with that chopping downswing, it just takes off. He fools a lot of outfielders with balls he hits.
Greg Luzinski, the batter. That's the third base hit for Big McBride, who's had a big night. A 3-run homer, and a single in the 5th, a single in the 7th. He's 3 for 4. Luzinski's 0 for 2, last time hit by a pitch. The score 7-4. Philadelphia's out in front. We're in the bottom of the 7th. High ball 1. It's 1 man out. Misses. 2 2-0. There's his strike. 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Good fastball. Luzinski is out on strike, so there are 2 away. Schmidt remains at second, McBride at first.
Rennie Martin, who we talked about being a curveball pitcher, simply throwing the fastball right by Greg Luzinski, who's not too shabby a fastball hitter, but he's keeping the ball away from him. There's the action. Marty Patton in the Kansas City bullpen. Martin did a very good job that time keeping the ball on the outside half of the plate to Luzinski. Pitching very tough with 2 men on base. Another tough hitter, Gary Maddox.
First pitch, he hits a high fly ball, center field. Otis is there. Otis makes the play, and that ends the inning. So at the end of 7 complete innings of baseball here, it's the Philadelphia Phillies 7, Kansas City 4.
Steve Carlton tomorrow as they start the 8th. That is not a pleasant thought for the Kansas City Royals, Joe.
Okay, Brian, we've got a new left fielder for the Philadelphia Phillies. Greg Gross has gone into play for Philadelphia. Fastball is high. There's his strike. 2-2. George Brett, who just captured All-America as he's chased 400. Here's the pitch again, a good fastball.
We're giving him a good steady diet of hard stuff, Joe. All 3 times up, hard stuff in. That pitch, a sailing fastball away. George looked like he thought it was a ball, but Walker's thrown extremely well.
He lines one in the left center field. That's a base hit. It'll be extra bases for Brett all the way to the wall. He's digging hard. He stops at second. He's got himself a double.
They went to an off-speed pitch, Tom, didn't they?
You know, Tony, you're just talking about exactly what we were talking about. He's been very successful with Brett all night. Popped him out to third base, struck him out. There's Tug McGraw in the Philly bullpen, and I know that Dallas Green doesn't want to see that unless it saves a ball game for him. Popped him up to center field on hard stuff. Hard stuff got him 2 strikes on an outstanding hitter, throw a high changeup to him when he's been successful with his hard stuff, getting him out.
Herm Charette is coming out now. Why would he do it? Why wouldn't he shake him off? Is it because he's a rookie, or?
I got to wonder this, Joe. Is it the theory that we heard Billy Martin talk about during the championship series? Oakland was more successful than any team in the American League against Brett, and they continually changed their patterns. They didn't stay one way.
Starrett out there having a meeting with Young Walk. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
WMAQ-TV, Chicago.
So George Brett is on at second base. It's a 7-4 ball game. Philadelphia's out in front. Willie Mays Aikens is the batter. Tug McGraw continues to throw. And they were hoping that they would just let him kind of rest out there, but now they got a chance to win a ball game, and they're going to pull some stops, and McGraw is one of them. Fastball outside, ball 1.
Well, Tug's the guy that was too tired. In fact, he didn't want to pitch in game number 5 unless he had to, and he had to. Pitched in all 5 of the championship series.
That ball gets away from Boone, almost into the dugout, but Brett moves on over to third.
All right, Tom, could that be a sign of tiring? Tried to overthrow, looked like a breaking ball, or was it a fastball?
I couldn't really tell on that, and from this replay we can't tell, Tony, but down that part of the plate, it's either a slider, obviously, or a fastball. Can't really tell. Here's another good shot, our center fielder's shot. Center field shot, fastball right down the dirt. Could be that he's trying to overthrow a little bit here, or it could be a sign of fatigue. Obviously, that's what Herm Starrett was talking about Boone about.
Deep to right field. McBride is going back. This ball may be out of here. Home run, Willie Mays Aikens. His second home run of the ball game. And if he's not tired, he's going to be tired after that shot. Willie Mays Aikens really into a trot, just now getting to second base. It's a 7-5 ball game. 7-6. Willie Mays Aikens, and he his crowd. Here's the swing.
We talked about it earlier in the broadcast about it hitting behind George Brett, still getting 98 RBIs. Another fastball. Home run earlier that he hit was a fastball. That was a fastball. Inside half the plate, spun on it very well and hit it extremely well. There's Dallas Green going back to the mound. And Bob Walk, I think, has had enough. Good shot of Willie Mays Aikens in the Royals dugout.
But with a runner on in the 8th and nobody out, the massive frame of Willie Aikens is an ominous presence. Aikens' second moonshot makes him only the 3rd player ever to hit 2 homers in his first World Series game. The Royals now trail by only 1, and Bob Walk, who'd later call himself Boom Boom, is replaced by the cool, calm, and collected countenance of the Phillies' placid reliever, Tug McGraw.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek, Tom Seaver, Paul Moskow, Brian Gumbel, Ron Luciano, Merrill Harmon. We got more broadcasters than the Yankees got coaches, but we got quite a ball game. 7 runs, 10 hits, and no errors for the Phillies. 6 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error for Kansas City. There are nobody out, nobody on, and the batter is Darrell Porter. A 1-run ball game, Tug McGraw in relief. A 1-run game. Fastball is inside, ball 1.
You'll not see too often a manager in the first game of the World Series go along as long as he did with Bob Walk, give up 6 runs. And this is the man they wanted to save, Tom, if they could.
Well, this is the guy that really brought him the pennant, I tell you, Tug McGraw. Got fastball, curveball, slider, changeup, screwball, and he can throw them anyone at any time. Has tremendous command of every one of his pitches and a real battler.
High fly ball, left field. Gross makes the play. 1 out.
Tom, we saw McGraw late in the season up in Montreal, and he got up there and struck out 5 of 6, and he did a lot of it with his fastball. I mean, they started looking for the screwball, I think, a little bit. Started looking for the off-speed stuff, and he just was blowing the ball by guys.
He can fool you, little guy. I was reading the press guide up here in my room last night. It has Tug as 6 feet, 184 pounds. I'm going to have a little discussion with Tug about that tomorrow. Now, he's not 6 feet. Tugger and I played together for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years in New York, world champion team in 1969. And I bet you I get a half-hour dissertation about how he is 6 feet tomorrow, too. Tug is an effervescent personality. He'll talk about anything. He's got a line for everything. He's got a name for every one of his pitches. Calls one of his fastballs a Peggy Lee fastball. Is that all there is? He's a real character and a real personality on that ball club. Great sense of humor.
Got a pinch hitter coming out in the on-deck circle.
This is a hitter situation, obviously, Joe, a 3-2 count. But as you can see, Bob Boo behind the plate called for a fastball. Tug shook it off, and now he wants to throw the screwball, even 3-2.
And he's lined to left field. That's a base hit. The tying run is on. Otis has 3 base hits. 2-run homer in the 2nd, a single in the 3rd, and now a single here in the 8th.
I was surprised to hear you say that. Here we look at it from our left center field camera, the base hit. Do you consider a 3-2 situation a hitter situation, or do you have the edge?
For most pitchers, it's a hitter situation.
Not
most,
for you, though,
huh?
Not for you, though, Ken.
You talking about me personally?
Yeah, that's what
I'm talking about for most. I'm not talking about for Tug, because in the 3-2 situation, that was a situation where Amos Otis couldn't sit on 1 pitch because Tug's got 4 pitches he can throw. No question about it. But for the majority of pitchers, you get to the 3-2 situation, you got a pretty good chance of knowing what the pitch is coming.
Otis can run. Tying run. Bouncing ball. Boa has it. 1 out. Double play. Manny Trio, strong arm, made that play. What a pivot, Tony.
He is so quick and so strong. He generates more arm speed very quickly. A breaking ball down that Watson pounds in the turf. Boa, bare hands, it shows the ball, and look at that flip from down under Lowbridge, the runner, and he had a lot in the throw. We saw that in the championship series game on a relay.
So we go into the bottom half of the 8th inning. Look at this flip. A lot on it. The score, Philadelphia 7, Kansas City 6. 1,791, Manny Trio doesn't get a strike 1.
Joe, as we watch this series progress, I think it's important for our fans to realize the trio up. I think it's important that the 4 guys in the middle of the diamond on both teams, Washington, White, Trio, finish after this.
High fly ball, Waltham, who stays in the ball game, hauls it in. There's 1 away.
Trio, and I'll add Boa of the Phillies, are not just out there because they're good defensive players. They can give you the speed on the base pass to steal a base, some extra base punch, as White showed with a home run in the championship series against the Yankees. So they're run producers to a degree, too. Not just defensive men.
Boa got it going. He and Pete Rose, the catalyst in that big 5-run inning. Boa with a base hit, stole a base. He takes it high, ball 1. Kansas City jumped out to a 2-run lead in the second. A 2-run homer by Otis. A 2-run homer by Akins. It was 4-0. Boa pulls it foul on the first base line.
Now, when Boa stole that base is the thing to me that really stands out, Joe. Down by 4 to Leonard, and he shook him up.
Stole the base, and then Pete Rose was hit by a pitch. Smith had a base hit. It was a walk and a home run by McBride, a 3-run homer. He scored 5, 1 in the 4th and 1 in the 5th. Frank White has it. Easy out, 2 away. Here's Bob Boone. Boone doubled and drove in a run, later scored in the 3rd. He doubled to drive in another run in the 4th, and he bounced out. 2nd, the 1st, and the 6th. Bob Boone, 2 for 3. Hot smash in the right field. And Bob Boone is on. That's his 3rd base hit of the night.
He was really limping down to first base. On that ankle we've talked about, and now 2 outs he's on. And look at Booney. He's at 2 balls down in that area. Jimmy Fry is coming out as we're showing this replay to you. There's the new right fielder. We told you that earlier. Watson, pinch hit, stayed in the game.
He's going to make a pitching change. Marty Patton has been throwing for Kansas City. So we're going to have a break in the action, and we'll be right back after these messages. He's really had a year.
Well, he had the kind of year that people dream about, Joe, no question about it. Quisenberry, 6'2", 180, just 26 years old. 12-7 this year with a 3.09 ERA, 33 saves. 128 innings pitched and gave up 129 hits, and tremendous ability to come in, throw that ground ball, get the double play. They say he's just been absolutely phenomenal for the Royals this year.
He doesn't walk many, nor does he strike out many. You see his delivery. In fact, this year he dropped down a little bit lower, and that is part of the instruction of Kent Tekulve, the fine Pirate reliever. He's also come up with a pretty good forkball.
I mentioned Goose Gossage a moment ago. The 33 saves that Quisenberry has tied him with Gossage for most of the American League. Greg Gross will be batting against Quisenberry. 2 men out. 8th inning, 7-6. Philadelphia leading. Boone is on at first base. This is strike. Eldon Ocker threw like that. Frank Laga. Remember that as we look at Bob Boone.
He's Abernathy. He's not down as low. Do you think it's Abernathy and Dick Hyde and some of those guys? Do you think
he's pretty low?
Yeah, he sure is. He's come pretty low.
Going to be a tough play. UL's only play to first base. It is in time. They get him. Beautiful play by UL Washington, who has really been some shortstop. So that ends the inning. At the end of 8 innings, as we look at Tug McGraw, the score here, Philadelphia 7, Kansas City 6. And due up in the 9th inning for Kansas City, Frank White, UL Washington, and Willie Wilson. Jim Fry, he's got to get the lumber going and get some runs, but you know, talking to Ken Harrelson once, he said baseball is the only sport that when you're on offense, the other team controls the ball. And that's quite a thought. Royals are on offense. They need a run, but the Phillies control the ball, and that's the battle we have here. 7-6. Top of the 9th, Frank White, who is 1 for 3, leads it off. Fouls it back.
Well, they've posted on one of the scoreboards here in Veterans Stadium tomorrow's pitchers. Game 2, Gura versus lefty. That's all they say around here in the town.
And they say lefty. The people in Philadelphia know exactly who it is, Steve Carlton.
Mike Schmidt, big hop, long throw. 1 out. 41 and 41 at home.
A little trickier to look because he was up close and the ball hit the dirt, almost handcuffed him. That's the only time you get a bad hop on this surface. Well, you might hit a seam in the turf, but from turf to dirt. Here it is again.
Good example, Tony, of what you talk about in this situation, guarding the line, preventing the double. You know, if Mike is over in regular position, that might be a very difficult play for him.
Especially with white speed.
Here's UL Washington, batting right-handed against McGraw. This crowd, they want 2 more outs. Dallas Green started a youngster. Walk, trying to buy some time. He's 2 outs away from making some buy. Screwball misses, ball 1. Royals with 3 home runs, all 2-run homers. 2 by Willie Mays Aikens, 1 by Amos Otis. Blake McBride, a 3-run homer, a 5-run 3rd inning, a big one. Outside, 2-0. 7-6. Philadelphia leading. 1 out in the 9th.
UL Washington, excuse me, Joe. UL Washington with a little more punch right-handed. That's his natural side.
Out of play. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Tug McGraw, Joe, using every pitch that he has in his book. And he has the confidence to throw any one of those pitches. 20 saves this year for the Phillies. Has 164 saves lifetime.
He got him looking for off-speed stuff, didn't he?
Exactly a point you made earlier, Tony. Showing so many pitches, showing the curveball, showing the slider, showing the screwball. They can't sit in any one pitch, and all of a sudden, Tuggy pops that fastball right through the middle of the plate. And there's no question he's looking for an off-speed pitch, a breaking pitch, something other than the fastball.
Gary Mannix has just moved way over to right center field now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Listen to the crowd. They'll tell you. No, 3-2 is the count.
That's a great shot from the center field camera. You can see Booney giving the signal. Here the pitch again. A screwball. You saw Booney wiggle the fingers for the off-speed screwball pitch. The bat didn't go. Good call by Harry Windlestead.
Good movement on that one.
Excellent movement on that pitch. Now the count 3-2. What are you going to throw? What's the hitter going to look for? You can see Booney fastball. It's going to be a fastball.
2 outs.
Set up beautifully by the pitch before, the screwball that got Washington out on his front foot, and then he runs the count to 3-2.
Willie Wilson, he's 0 for 4. This crowd on its feet. You'll hear the reaction on every pitch. Ball. Mike Schmidt guarding the line, but he's moved in a step or 2. Now he's drifting back. One to count. 9th inning, 2 men out, nobody on. Philadelphia 7, Kansas City 6. 2 strikes.
You see the very calm Tug McGraw here, Joe, and you know him as well as I do. If he strikes Willie Wilson out, gets his last out, there's a very calm Tug McGraw, but underneath that, if he can get the 3rd out, watch him, he'll be as wild as the people in the stands.
The stands standing up. Listen to the crowd. They'll umpire it, they'll broadcast it for you. Foul ball. McGraw, very calm, screwball. But as Tom Seaver just said, I guarantee he'll come off that mound. He'd be able to thread a sewing machine while it's running. Phillies after giving a 4-run lead to the Kansas City Royals. Phillies win it 7-6. Home runs by Otis. Aikens had a pair. Big McBride had a big home run for the Phillies. But it's a 7-6 win. Philadelphia over Kansas City. The winner is Bob Walk. The loser is Dennis Leonard. Quite a ball game here. This crowd really reacting. A big win. There you see Tuck McGraw came in relief. Dallas Green bought time, and the Phillies beat Kansas City 7-6. Game 1 of the 1980 World Series has been brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invite you to test drive the new 1981 Ford cars and trucks, and by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. And by Allstate Insurance Companies, you're in good hands with Allstate. And by United Airlines, United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what Friendly Skies are all about. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Oldmeyer. The coordinating producer of baseball is Michael Weissman. The telecast of tonight's game has been produced by George Finkel. Directed by Harry Coyle. Pre-game produced by David Stern. Pre-game and replays directed by Ken Fouts. Technical director, Horace Ruiz. Associate producer, Michael Handley. Glenn Adamo and Bill Peters. Associate directors, Richard Klein, John Filippelli. Production manager, Steve Foreman. Remember, tomorrow 8 o'clock is Game 2 of the World Series on NBC. Now stay tuned for late news, followed by The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson over most of these NBC stations. On the West Coast, most Mountain Time Zone stations, these programs will be seen at their regular time. Once again, final score, Philadelphia Phillies 7, Kansas City 6. Carlton against Gura tomorrow night here on NBC.
With 2 out in the 9th, it's Willie Wilson against Old Stoneface, who never seems to get excited. The 7-6 win gives the Phillies an indescribable feeling, one they've been waiting for since 1915.